365 Radio.
Max Muncy with 2 out here in the first inning. Here's a fly ball into right center field. Back at the wall. It is gone. Grand slam. And the first inning is historic.
Sikkim 365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
And Altuve hits it well and hits it deep to left field, going back to Rosarena at the wall, looking up, see you later! Jose Altuve goes deep for the second straight day and for the third time in this series.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Williams in motion, play action for Daniels. Backside pressure. Down he goes, back at the 39. The Bears got there.
Now here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
All right, here we go. It is Armstrong Sims running the mothership. Amelia Myers is here as well as she does her magic with the camera and much more. Good afternoon, Sikkim 365 Radio. Craig Smoke to my right, Paul Catalina to my left. Astros first pitch in about an hour as they are still alive in their series with the Rays after winning last night. Boy, George Springer hit a home run that still might be going. Altuve had a home run in the first, actually made a couple of plays at second base. That was probably huge. The Astros remained alive. Dodgers won big yesterday. Heck, we were on the air when they scored 11 runs in the first inning. We will have Ishmael Johnson. He's the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine, the basketball magazine version. If you haven't seen on the front cover this year, run it back. The Baylor Bears are championship or bust. Maceo Teague, Mark Vidal, obviously Jared Butler and Donovan Mitchell on the cover as they, of course, have everybody, almost everybody back from last year's team that had the season shut down. We've got a drag racer today, Alexis DeJoria, whose car on October 5th in St. Louis exploded, and yet she still won a race. Plus Sam Bradshaw, 5:30, high school coaches and much more. Max Olson, Mickey Spagnola as well on Sikkim 365 Radio. The nothing new. I've got nothing new from Baylor to the campus as far as where they are. I do know this. Again, they're not going to start practicing. It's going to be over 11 days from the day they suspended football activities. And now, as we have done every day, it's kind of like I guess the news, the good news is there is no news. It's not like you've heard about anything else. It's even more of a flare-up than the flare-up.
I don't think you're going to have news. I don't know what point that would be. Because that could create false hope, because you could say, hey, we've got 15 guys that are all better, but that doesn't mean anything about 15 other guys that could be still in contact tracing or might not have tested positive yet or all that. So I think it's best they don't really hear anything, because you don't want to create false hope.
Long way to go before they have any decisions to make. So best to just kind of lay back, see how it goes, and then, on Monday when the next round of testing results come out with your graphic and the latest info, and we'll have a good idea then. They'll have a good idea by Monday morning or whenever those Sunday tests come in typically. But, there's no point in up-to-the-minute updates because it's changing so quickly, as we've seen throughout the rest of college football over the last couple of days.
I appreciate those of you who have reached out and said, hey, David, do you know anything more about maybe the UT game? We won't know until most likely, if anything does change or not, most likely like it was this past weekend on Sunday evening with Oklahoma State. But there are tests going every day. Every single day they're testing with the Baylor football team. Is Coastal Carolina, should they be in the Big 12 championship game?
No.
No.
They're a good team, though.
They won their game. They've now beaten a Big 12 team and two others that beat a Big 12 team, and they won again last night. It's just a fun story. It's a fun, and it's the crapshoot. Cincinnati in game with Philip Montgomery and Tulsa. That's the latest game to get canceled.
Yeah, Cincinnati's got an outbreak, so Tulsa will stick at 2 games played this year through the rest of this weekend. We're hoping to get their 3rd game in, but too many issues at Cincinnati. And what is interesting about that potential Baylor and Texas game here in about 8 days from now, if it does go on, that will be the first time we'll see this whole Eyes of Texas mandate put into action down in Austin, which has become another little controversy this week.
It's an ear-splitting topic of discussion between what are the boosters, the alums and boosters, the university, the athletic director, Chris Del Conte, and Tom Herman. Am I reading this wrong, that Del Conte basically yesterday released a statement that said, we expect our players to hang around, stay on the field for the song of Eyes of Texas, after Tom Herman had told the players, again, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys make the decision you want. If you want to stay, great. If you don't, go into the locker room.
Yeah, I mean, apparently they were supposed to have had these conversations prior to the season, and Texas said they had these conversations prior to the season, but then last week with the loss to Oklahoma, the way that unfolded, and then the picture that was distributed of Sam Ehlinger basically being out there by himself, they did clarify that afterwards, there were some assistant coaches or some coaching staff that were out there too, and somebody had some random shots of like a walk-on who was like 30 feet away, and he was throwing up the hook'em. So it wasn't technically Sam by himself, but it was basically Sam by himself. And so now this is blown up into a whole deal. Boosters are mad. Fans are mad. There's some saying, who are you going to tell they have to sit around for the song? So, yeah, this has become a mess and really didn't need to. Because they've had, weeks and weeks to discuss and debate this, but I guess those conversations weren't as clear as they thought.
Yeah, guess what? Next week is Free Speech Week at the University of Texas.
And just to kind of review what's at the core of the issue of the Eyes of Texas, it's not the lyrics to the song; it's I've been working on the railroad, which I've been reading. I've been trying to figure out if it's a definitely racist song in history or not, and there's a lot of scholarly debate about it.
Goes back to the minstrels.
Yeah, I mean, but
which is definitely racist.
Yeah,
Earl Campbell, is he not almost royalty at Texas?
He is, but he doesn't speak for all people.
No, I know. He's 60-something years old. I get that. It is something that they may never fix this. This might cost Tom Herman. I'll tell you what would cost Tom Herman his job. If Baylor has played just 2 games and didn't get to play this week, and Texas has had 2 weeks off by the time they play and had a chance without any apparent flare-ups, and Baylor has players that don't get to start practicing until Monday or whenever next week, and they go into Austin and beat Texas, losing to Texas cost Mack Brown his job. Or losing to Baylor cost Mack Brown his job. It might have cost Cliff Kingsbury his job, but I'm looking at UT. If Baylor goes in there and beats them in Austin and have not been able to play or practice, Craig,
it would have cost Charlie Strong his job, I believe, as well, had it not been for a late fumble by Johnny Jefferson, unfortunately, and what was an epic comeback cut just short. But there's a lot brewing down there right now between Herman and just the dissatisfaction. The fact that Del Conte gave him a contract extension is one of his first big moves when it was entirely unnecessary, quite frankly. Now they're kind of stuck in this conundrum of owing all this money in a time where you don't really want to be spending a whole lot of extra money. Even if you are deep-pocketed Texas, everybody's still being affected. The product on the field is not good. It's not any better than it was when he first stepped on campus. And now, outside the hash marks, you've got this off-the-field controversy that is completely entangled not only your football team, but also your staff, and now your fan base, and your alums.
And it's growing.
And it's growing, and it's really just kind of starting.
And if there was a mandate that this should be done, why did it wait till mid-October? And I want to get into just not UT. We kind of got, but again, because that's who Baylor has next.
And if you're sitting there thinking, well, this is all over a song, well, I mean, there are things that, this deep-rooted, alumni that feel that this is at the core of their being.
Here's my question, though, and this, I like to not play devil's advocate, but I like to try to look at a different angle. There are players who are arguing now against this song. Did they know about the song when they signed to play at Texas?
I would think probably not.
They didn't know the Eyes of Texas?
No, but I would think that they did not know the I've been working on the railroad.
Okay.
I think that's something quite often you find out when you are in college about, because most, and this is a problem in the country, is that most high school history is it glazes over the really hard stuff. Yeah, the bad.
I wouldn't know. It's been 40-something
but
years.
you hear about it, but you don't get to hear the really bad parts of it or that. So then you get to college and you get a professor who's not afraid of hurting your feelings or doesn't have to answer to your mom and dad when he says something in class that might, get lurid or scary. He's just going to tell you. And then all of a sudden you're like, what? And then it starts a whole thing.
And even if they did know and maybe had some idea of the origins of it, I think just the climate changed so dramatically, so quickly, that even if you felt like, you know what, that's silly, that's not that big of a deal, that was a long time ago, maybe after all that's occurred over the last few months, your tune has changed a little bit in talking with fellow players and whatnot. But no, it's Baylor's upcoming opponent. We hope. We'll see. We don't know on the testing right now, but certainly they've got a lot more to work out than just getting ready for Baylor.
254-339-1122 is the text line. That's open. The phone lines are open as well. If you have an opinion on that topic, we'd love to hear from you on Sikkim 365 Radio.
Here's the life lesson for you. Write an original song.
Yeah,
you have a music department. You brag about all this stuff. Write an original song.
Our good friend Colby Carthel of SFA has COVID. Tested positive. His father, who coached at Lubbock Christian for 17 years, Eastern New Mexico, West Texas A&M, will be the interim coach, at least for now, as he will miss the game coming up. I think it's against Angelo State, or is it Abilene Christian or Angelo State? It's Angelo State. Dak Prescott, this was pretty cool. Put up today on Facebook. Paul, do we have this?
Yeah, I got to send it to Armstrong. I'm sorry I didn't do it, but yeah, hold on. I'll send it to him real quick.
All right. Dak Prescott was driving around. I don't know if he was driving. Maybe somebody else was driving him. But he was on his way, I think, to see the doctor. And, of course, we know about the compound fracture, the dislocation of his right ankle. And, Armstrong, when you have it, let me know. The Cowboys are reporting that, in fact, he was not only on his way to the doctor, he showed up at the Star. He showed up at the Star in Frisco. And obviously, the fans and the teammates and much, much more, the reaction was fantastic. McCarthy today, Mike McCarthy, he's in the building. You just see the reaction everybody has. He's here. I just think that speaks volumes about him as a man and just the electricity he brings to our football team as well. Also, Leighton Vander Esch, who's had that broken collarbone injury, expected now to practice in full. In fact, was tomorrow, and then be available for their game coming up on Monday to Arizona. That remains to be seen. Do we have it? Let me know when we get it. Denzel Mims actually practiced and took a lot of reps, not just back at practice, but took reps in the Jets practice today. Here's Dak Prescott.
What's up, everyone? Just want everyone to know that I'm doing well, and I can't thank you enough for all your love, your support, your prayers over the last few days. They've been more than overwhelming. From teammates to family to friends to fans I don't know to former and current players around the league and players around all sports. I just wanted to say thank you. They're definitely appreciated and received well. So just knowing that I have that much love and support out there makes a huge difference. In great spirits. Headed to see the doctor, headed to see my leg for the first time post-surgery. So just ready to start this road to comeback. I know this little adversity is just going to be another chapter in the book. And I'm excited to move forward and write it. Just once again, can't thank you all enough for your love and your support through it all. But I'm in great spirits. I'm going to stay that way. I'm looking forward to this football season, seeing the game in a different perspective, and supporting my teammates and those around the league that need it. And just excited for God's purpose and God's plan. I know it's bigger than anything that I see or that could have imagined, but I'm trusting him. My faith is doubled down more than ever, and I'm thankful that he's my savior and he guides me in life. So I know through him all this will be possible, and all this will be a great comeback and a great story. So once again, thank you for your support, thank you for your love, and ready to get this journey of the comeback started. So God bless you all. Thank you.
All right, that's Dak Prescott, Cowboys quarterback. That's a pretty cool thing. And
how is he not more loopy?
I don't know.
I mean, like that to me, like given you would think he's on
that he might have been loopy.
Yeah, but
I think he probably was.
He's pretty happy.
He probably was.
He's always been.
He wasn't feeling any pain there.
Not at all. John Machota from theathletic.com. He's of course covers the Cowboys every day for us as well, among others. He'll join us today at 5:00. The Falcons had to shut down their facility because of a positive coronavirus test. That's another one of those. It's like a daily. We did not have him on that I can remember. Maybe early on, Paul, radio-wise, in the early part of the decade of the 2000s. Fred Dean, defensive pass rush specialist, a fantastic player, was a part of their teams that were really good. He's the one that sacked, I believe he's the one that sacked Danny White that may have ended the NFC Championship game that won the first one for San Francisco when Rice made the catch. They almost hit Pearson on a slant, and then Danny White was sacked. Fred Dean's the one that created that, I believe. It ended the game in the first win and first championship of the 49ers as they went on to win their first Super Bowl under Joe Montana, Bill Walsh and company. He was just a dynamic pass rusher.
We've definitely it had to be at a Super Bowl or we had him.
It wasn't in San Francisco though, which we'd have thought maybe. But he's been on. I think we might have just had him on, and because that listed Chris Visser. In fact, I talked to Chris Visser today. I mentioned that he had been battling. There was a concern about something he was dealing with his throat. He got cleared. Apparently, got some really good news. He's a good friend of our show. Man, you get on the phone with him, it's a while. it's a while. Now, Daryl Morey has decided to step down as the general manager of the Rockets. Now, the first thing I thought about was this is backlash from what he said about China.
I don't think that it doesn't have anything to do with that. I mean, he's saying he wants to maybe pursue some other professional discipline, which I would too if I made a statement about human rights and the organization I worked for kind of was like, human rights are cool, but shut up. I mean, that's what they did.
Yeah, I think it's not the sole reason, but it certainly fed into the reasons for why they went ahead and made this move. I mean, as well as the fact that, yes, you've made a deep run in the playoffs, and yes, you've consistently made the playoffs, but what have you done with that? Mm-hmm. How many trophies have you raised? 0. So, in a year like this as well, where the championship wasn't there just for the taking. I mean, you had teams like the Lakers in the way, but another disappointing outcome for the Rockets. And, it kind of is at that point where you go 500 and you go 500 and you go 500. It's like you're still making the playoffs, but are you really doing anything past just saying you're making the playoffs every year? They would get to the finals, but could never quite get over that hump. And I think the social aspect of it definitely played into it. I felt like he was going to be gone right around the time that happened. But it's taken a little while longer than expected, but not a surprise.
Silver, the commissioner, and also Fertitta supported Morey after the comments, but we don't know what was being said, and we obviously know what the players said. But they've been really good, but they haven't been able to, as you said, Craig, get over the top. And so he now will go and probably rebuild somebody else's team as well. Here's a neat note from Sean Pendergrast on Twitter. He's, of course, a broadcaster in the Houston area. Astros general manager was Jeff Luhnow back in January. Jeff Luhnow and also A.J. Hinch was the manager. Rockets GM was Daryl Morey. The head coach was Mike D'Antoni. Texans general manager and head coach was Bill O'Brien.
I love how he put it differently.
Yeah, William O'Brien was the GM. Yeah. Bill O'Brien, the head coach. Every single 6 people, including O'Brien twice, are gone.
Yeah, and the Rockets also have some financial issues they have to work out. So, it just goes to show you how fast these windows can close. You're the Astros, and hey, you're still alive after that great win last night. You're still alive. I mean, you've got a chance, but that World Series window where you thought you were going to win 3 or 4 of them, now you're worried about George Springer as a free agent and what's going to happen there, and you're worried about Verlander's not coming back to 22. And for the Texans, I mean, obviously they're just kind of having to get through the season and then see what happens afterwards as far as any head coaching interest goes. And the Rockets had their moments as well, but there was the Golden State Warriors, and now there's the Los Angeles Lakers and the Clippers as well, and they just couldn't ever, again, get over that hump. And
were they in the finals? They were in the finals once with Harden. Is that right? Did they? Did they make the finals?
No, they've made the
They've
Western
been on the edge so many times.
Yeah,
you're right, Craig. It was always somebody
every year, practically.
Yeah. And if it's always been somebody. And it's like we were talking about with Tampa Bay. We're discussing Houston's been knocking on the door, and of course they've had their success with what the Astros did, and the Texans have been pretty good. But Tampa now has an NHL title, on the verge perhaps of playing for the World Series. Their football team's at least competitive.
They got interest because of Brady and all that.
Yeah.
But, with the Rockets, they've always lost. It's been the same all the time. They've always lost to a team that is more diversely built in the way that they play defense, they can score, as opposed to the Rockets, whose idea of beating you is like, we're just going to have a barrage of shots. And if you can stop that, great.
Yeah, they didn't have a Draymond Green. The Warriors did that.
So, they either lost to Draymond Green or, early on, they would lose to the Spurs. Back when the Spurs were still getting that Kawhi.
A team that would kind of sometimes be able to kind of put the clamps on you. Ishmael Johnson of Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine, the basketball edition, will join us in the next segment. Anything else before we break? Because we got to get to a break. Conor McGregor, Craig, said he's coming back. We'll get to that. A couple of stories we'll get to later on. Conor McGregor fights again, or at least maybe. The UIL has a couple of things on their agenda for this weekend when it comes to athletics. Will the UIL, because of COVID, I saw this from a respected, longtime high school football analyst, will the UIL, when you get to the postseason, have teams that are on backup to practice to play games in case there are teams that can't play? And it sounds weird, and to me it's completely insane because you could have a team that loses and win a state championship.
I don't like it.
And it's not like the 88 Carter, when teams would lose and then Carter was ruled ineligible, then Marshall would start to practice again, and then they'd win an injunction. It's kind of weird. Just something to get to a little bit later on. But our guest lineup, we'll start with Ishmael Johnson. We'll hear from Fantasy Football League expert Jennifer Smoke. She'll join us today at 3:45. Max Olson, Mickey Spagnola, Midway's Jeff Hume. They're 0-2, along with others, including Sam Bradshaw, S11 on Sikkim 365 Radio. This is Sikkim 365 Radio.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac, they continue to roll out the deals during the kickoff savings event. All 2020 vehicles on their lot are priced to move right now. You can get it all. A smooth, quiet ride in a first-class interior matched with power and durability with the GMC Sierra. During Richard Carr's kickoff savings event, qualified buyers will score $9,000 off a 2020 GMC Sierra. The 3-row Buick Enclave is an amazing value in a luxury SUV during the kickoff savings event at Richard Carr. All 2020 3-row Buick Enclaves are $10,000 off, or you can get the versatile and nimble Buick Encore for only $19,900. A sweet vehicle for under $20K. And if you want to step up a little bit higher, maybe you're ready to step into some luxury. The ultimate luxury and style that you can only get from a Cadillac will let Richard Carr bring the Cadillac experience to you with the XT4, XT5, or the full-size 7-passenger Cadillac XT6 and save $2,000. It's the kickoff savings event at Richard Carr. Score huge savings right now on all vehicles in stock. Go to richardcarr.com or come see the deals in person at Highway 6 in the Imperial Exit, or call and they will bring the test drive to you.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of health care while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of health care has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs. Even offering financing if that's needed, everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
It's the heat of the summer, but the real heat is what you're cooking on the grill, smoker, or in the oven. So Waco Custom Marketplace can be your go-to playmaker for summertime grilling. You can't go eat anywhere else? Be your own chef with custom ordered and cut ribeyes, sirloins, fillets, New York strips with a focus on high-quality beef at a competitive price. Waco Custom Marketplace also has fresh deli cuts with sliced turkey, ham, pepperoni, or corned beef. Waco Custom Marketplace also your home for the freshest seafood in town. Salmon, shrimp, mahi-mahi, great priced chicken products, whole birds, tenders, chicken breast, and wings. Waco Custom Marketplace with smoked items unique to Waco, house-made bacon, summer sausage, boudin, hot links, and German sausage. Every seasoning for every occasion, grilling, baking, or frying. Your hometown grocery store with canned goods, pasta, fresh baked bread, buns, chips, sauce, condiments to pickles, charcoal and lighter fluid, cold beer and wine, best kolaches in Waco, mouth-watering cinnamon rolls, and here for the community every single day, helping you avoid the long lines in crowded stores, serving quality products to the Waco community. Go online for the weekly value boxes. Family owned and operated Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The Sikkim 365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
All right, the couple of other stories we want to get to momentarily. We will do that in a moment about the NFL now. Sick players. Not COVID positive, but sick players are now being told they have to isolate. I'm not sure what I think about that. We'll get into that. Obviously, we have three of us here.
Say that again?
NFL says that players who are sick, if they experience COVID symptoms but they don't test positive, have to be isolated.
Well, I mean, I think that's smart based on what we saw with, who was it? Who's the team that had the symptoms? Florida, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you may not test positive. We know those tests aren't completely accurate. I don't know. I'd rather be safe than sorry based on what we've seen.
What if you test positive for strep?
I don't know.
Well, then you don't need to be there anyway. You don't want to give somebody strep. I mean, whatever contagious disease you have, you don't want to spread it. I mean, strep, COVID, the flu, you shouldn't, here's the lesson. Stop going to work when you're sick and getting other people sick. Whether it's COVID or not.
Shut down the country. All right, we're joined by Ishmael Johnson.
That's not what I'm saying.
Editor of the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Magazine. It's a basketball edition. And Baylor, with their four horsemen, so to speak, back from the team that had to have the season shut down, are on the cover. Ishmael joins us. Paul, Craig, I'm David Smoke. Ishmael, was there any doubt that would be the cover? What was the discussion about putting Baylor on the cover of your magazine for the basketball season?
The only hesitation was, I guess, editorial, decisions of do we want to put Baylor on the cover twice? But obviously, because Lauren Cox was on it last year. But I think when you boiled it down, I don't see how 4 of the 5 starters of probably the best team in the country last season coming back, Jared Butler's going to have a National Player of the Year type season, in my opinion. I don't see how that wasn't the biggest story in the state.
Yeah, what is the most fascinating thing to you about the way this Baylor team's been built?
I think it's interesting because they almost Scott Drew his career's kind of been a little polarizing. Some people close to the program feel that. So I feel like he gets a lot of unfair comparisons to Kim Mulkey, obviously, and then some people may criticize him and say, he hasn't done this, he hasn't done X, Y, and Z. I think other people feel like he's actually done a lot for Baylor, and he's established them as a consistent program in the national landscape. And last year was kind of one of the first years where he adjusted, I think was one of his biggest adjustments. He went away from that zone defense. It was more the no middle defense he went to, where it's kind of man-to-man based, where they just take away every driving lane in the middle. And that changed the team. And that, Texas Tech runs a version of that, but he implemented it in a way that maximize those guys. You had guys like Freddie Gillespie and Mark Vital who aren't, they're not going to get you buckets, but nobody's going to score on those guys. And then you had Jared Butler and Maceo Teague and Davion Mitchell who were just lockdown defenders as well. And it just made them unscorable. Like you couldn't score 60 points on those guys some nights. And that was one of the biggest adjustments that I've seen because we're so used to seeing Scott Drew play that zone defense. And then he just switched for 1 year, and all of a sudden Baylor flourishes.
Ishmael, this is obviously a very close team. I mean, they've said it constantly in interviews how much they love being in the locker room together, how much they love playing with each other, and that obviously played a big role in the decisions to return for guys like Jared Butler. Were you guys able to sense that cohesiveness with this group of guys while working on the story, working on the cover?
Oh, for sure. Like, that's one of the things Shahan J. Raja hints on in the beginning is those guys that he opens the story. You'll be able to read it on Monday on TexasBasketball.com. He opens the story with them realizing that the season got canceled, right? They're in the hotel. They're getting ready for the tournament. And, like, he goes through and he talks to a bunch of the guys about just what their reactions were. And then he talks to Scott Drew about that specific team and the camaraderie that team had. Because to play a system like that, to be able to trust the guys that, there's such a reliance on help defense and be able to have that trust to be able to say, okay, if I get beat, there's going to be somebody there. There's going to be Mark right there behind me. Jared's not going to get beat a lot, but when I am, last year Freddie's going to be there, probably Tristan Clark this year. There is, like, in my opinion, with any intense defensive team, you're going to need guys who you just say, okay, this guy has my back, I have this guy's back. Nothing's going to happen in this area, when we're guarding this area, things like that. It is a really cohesive team, and you really get that.
So this Baylor team, obviously, we don't know what would have happened, but they were surely set up to have a heck of a run, despite they had kind of start to have some slippage. They are, and they have both Butler back and, of course, Teague. They dipped their toe in the water. And the thing is, they're deep, and they've got some new ones coming in. They got some youngins coming in to make them even better, it appears, that make this team almost to the point where you wonder, I'm not concerned because of what Coach Drew and Jerome Tang and that staff do, but are there enough basketballs to go around?
I mean, that's a good question, right? I mean, that's always a big question with whenever you add. I mean, you could probably argue they're probably 10 deep, right? Last year where they played maybe 7. But obviously you bring back most of the starting 5. You add guys like Adam Flagler. You add guys like LJ Cryer as a freshman. Lobamba's going to have his next year, obviously coming back. Tristan Clark's obviously back, things like that. Like, yeah, sure. I mean, that's definitely a concern to some extent. But then again, like, they're not really a team that's going to ask anybody to go out and score 15, right? Jared Butler might get that. But for the most part, these are guys that are, Mark and Freddie were scoring 6 points a game last year. They were okay with that, right? And like, it's going to be one of those moments where it's like, okay, you might score 4 points, but we got to make sure that we lock down, Matt Coleman at Texas, or we lock down, Kyler Edwards at Tech.
Do you see this team maybe having multiple guys in double figures, though, that weren't last year?
Oh, for sure. I think you look at, obviously, Butler is going to be that guy. Teague, I would not be surprised if Mitchell takes that step as well. I'm curious to see who that next guy is, because there were some games last year where they got a little too reliant on Jared Butler, and you saw him kind of at times feel the need to probably jack up some shots that weren't there. I'm curious if they find somebody in the post that they can maybe throw the ball to a little bit more than last year. That's going to be the biggest concern for me. Spoiler alert, they're number 2 in our national top 25, just behind Gonzaga. But I think those two teams are far and away leagues ahead of everybody else right now.
And we'll get to see them play, right? Gonzaga and Baylor, so that'll be a good one. Hey, what's the biggest difference in putting together the basketball edition versus the football edition?
The biggest difference is honestly just commitment, because we're putting together the basketball edition in the middle of football season. And so having to prioritize time, because obviously I do write for the website, Shahan does too, and then having to prioritize time for, okay, here's my high school football day, right? Friday night, I'm kind of booked. Saturday, Shahan's kind of booked. And so prioritizing time, organizing things like that in the middle of, arguably the biggest sports time in Texas, that's always the biggest challenge. But it's always we always get it done, and it's always fun. I
got to tell you something. I don't think people realize this. I do, because I once for so long, nearly 30 years, spent time in East Texas, and there are a ton of just basketball schools only, where in football there are 12 to 1,300. In basketball, you add names like Natchez and Avenger and LaPointer and on and on and on. I mean, it seems like it would be even more difficult because of the numbers of schools that you have to cover as well.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, we have over 3,000 because you got boys and girls too, right?
3,000?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, because you're boys and girls. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And so that's where somebody like RV Bogus, who's my I guess co-editor, he takes a lot of the high school bulk off my hands because obviously it's huge, right? It's double the size in terms of schools, it's double the size of football. And so he's a huge help in getting a lot of those done. And we have just a great team. I mean, those guys, RV is one of the biggest workhorses I know. And like, there's not, he'll ask if I can take some things off his hands just so he can make sure that his stuff that he's focusing on is perfect and in touch. And I mean, he's been my partner for about a couple of years now, ever since I joined the team. So I couldn't be doing it without him.
Yeah, that's a golly.
That's a lot of work. That's a lot of work.
Double it up, plus schools that don't play football. Craig?
Absolutely. Ishmael, without revealing too much, obviously, because you want people to buy and read the magazine, but what's kind of the, I guess, general consensus on, kind of the lay of the land around the rest of the state? Obviously, Texas Tech will expect it to be a great team. Greg Brown going to Texas and Shaka Smart being there with all that's going on. What's sort of the overall feeling heading into this season for Texas basketball as a whole?
I think, and this is kind of a little hint that I gave in my editor's letter in the magazine that you guys will see, it's kind of been, for better or worse, a little bit of a showcase of basketball in Texas the past couple of years. You go back to Chris Beard making the title game. You go back to the women winning last year for Baylor. You go back to obviously the men, or excuse me, I should say. You go back to the men almost making a run themselves before it got canceled. And then you go back and you look at Texas and you look at Tech. I think those two teams are potentially top 15 if they really get things right. We'll see with Texas, obviously. But then you even look at, on the women's side, you look at Vic Schaefer going to Texas. You look at Ken Mulkey, who's just going to run it back with a bunch of players. D.D. Richards probably going to step up and be their big player now that Lauren Cox is gone. You look at Tech bringing in Krista Gerlich, who I think was a great hire on the women's side. You look at TCU, who is going to take a step back, but I think everybody knows that they're a capable team now under Jamie Dixon. I just see like a bunch of depth. You look at the mid-majors, even like Stephen F. Austin is going to be there on both the men's and women's side. You look at Sam Houston State. I just think that when you look at top to bottom, Texas is obviously looked at as football first, right? Always, no matter what, that's going to be what the state's judged on. But for so many years, like it's always been like just take what you get with basketball. Like, oh, okay, yeah, Texas is good here. Baylor men did, they made a Sweet 16, cool. But now there's actually like expectation and national prominence and like actual prestige now on the hardwood in a way that, I mean, at least as long as I've been alive, I'm still young, but I can't remember the last time where, we've had three, potentially in the men's side, 3 or 4 top 15 teams. On the women's side, potentially again with A&M, I didn't even mention them. 3 or 4 top 15 teams as well. And like you're expecting them to be good.
Anything else, guys?
Nope.
Craig? All right. Thank you, Ishmael. Appreciate you jumping on with us. Good stuff. And it's not just because Baylor's on the cover, Lauren Cox last year. It's something that a lot of times if you don't really think about how much you guys are putting together and not just the columns or the stories or the features, but the overviews, it's amazing. Thanks for your time. I'm glad that I love the basketball edition. It was a long time coming. I know you guys are proud of it, and you should be. Thanks for your time. Ishmael Johnson with us, the managing editor of the Dave Campbell's Basketball Magazine with Maceo Teague, Mark Vidal, Jared Butler, and Donovan Mitchell on the cover.
Pretty cool. Yeah, they put that out yesterday. I think, Alvin Brooks on Scott Drew's staff had put out the picture initially, and I got kind of a buzz going, and then Dave Campbell's officially announced it yesterday. And, yeah, that's awesome. I mean, there's been I wonder how many covers there were 2013 of Baylor athletes on the cover, because it seems like there's been a flurry. Remember there was the one with Browse and Oakman and Petty.
Armstrong. While Craig is talking, you want to take a picture of that in case you don't have it up?
Yeah, there was the one of Browse, Oakman, Petty out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Out in front of McLean Stadium. You've had Lauren Cox on the cover, and Matt Rule was going to be on that bad boy. He stuck around a little while longer as well. I think that was pretty close to happening. But great for Scott Drew and the Baylor men. That's great exposure for them.
I agree. I think Rule would have
Davion Mitchell, by the way. You said Donovan.
I said Davion Mitchell. Absolutely, Matt Rule would have been in play for what he did last year with Baylor, unless Texas decided it was time for them to have somebody else in the cover.
Is that they get to make the call?
Well, there's another little thing there that I've seen creep up over the last few minutes, even while we were talking about it a little while ago.
On the eyes of Texas?
Yeah. So one of the comments that I saw, Horns 24/7, which you've got Chip Brown and Jeff Howe. I like Jeff a lot. I don't know Chip, but they've got a long, long story on the eyes of Texas debacle. And one of the points that's being made in there was, I guess, a comment that we've got 3 programs that are being told that they're required to do this. 2 of them are doing it. 1 of them's not. So basically saying that there's been a directive, and the other programs that are playing right now have been following that directive. But in saying that, if football's not following that directive, that means Tom Herman's not doing what Chris Del Conte is telling him to do, and so that has now created...
Who wins that power struggle?
Oh, Del Conte. Yeah. Especially right now. Herman's got nothing to hold on to. So that's just another little thing to monitor, because that's now become another little wrinkle in this whole ordeal.
Yep, it is. Please shut that video off. My God.
That's a big old snake, man.
That's an anaconda. Yeah.
It's an anaconda. It's an anaconda. Seriously,
Look, this
that
guy's
guy
just-
is nuts. You know what? I bet they never find him. All right. What, did TJ send that to you?
No, it's Dan Lust, actually.
Dan Lust, our sports
Dan
attorney?
Lust tweeted that, yeah.
All right. We had some of you also respond to us, and do we appreciate it. TJ and Daniel on the Riverbend Liquor and Wine text line on the Rockets and their championships. Where you want to make a Houston fan mad, talk about the 94-95 Rockets titles and say there should be an asterisk. I'm a lifelong Redskins fan, and I still admit it. Now the Washington Football Club, they've won 2 of their 3 Super Bowls during strike years, and I didn't celebrate any less. In fact, I cried when John Riggins broke the tackle in that 4th down run against Miami that sealed their win back in 1982. So,
well, you'd have to strike the Spurs championship against the Knicks. That kind of got their ball rolling.
Been a couple of baseball seasons.
I mean, that was a shortened year, right?
Yeah.
And then
well, this year that means the Lakers don't count.
The Lakers,
whoever wins baseball, right?
But they count. They
count.
You
Absolutely.
know?
And you celebrate. You say that if it's not your team.
Yeah, the first one.
Yeah. So, all right. And there's much more to get to. In fact, Daniel is the one that asked about the Rockets, and I countered with the Redskins because I celebrated as much as if it had been any other championship. 254-339-1122.
On that, though, that would have been very interesting to see. Bulls, Rockets in the finals during that time period, during those 2 seasons. My gosh. There's a lot of people that believe the Rockets would have won that series. And there's obviously a lot of people that believe the Bulls would have won. But, man, that would have been a lot of fun.
If there was a team that could have done it because of what they had with Hakeem and the fact that the Bulls at that spot on the court were probably the weakest, I mean, they would have figured, like, Phil Jackson would have figured a way around it, but that would have created a matchup problem that they didn't really have in all the other ones.
It brings up a point. You guys both, I could tell, immediately disagree with me when it came to the flu or strep throat and football players. One of Michael Jordan's greatest things we ever hear about him was the flu game.
It was also food poisoning, so it was not contagious.
So, but at the same time, you're telling me that over these years when we've had players play when they've been sick, strep, flu, whatever, because of COVID, they shouldn't be able to play or practice, or because no matter what, they should never be able to practice or play?
I'm a firm believer in the etiquette of if you're carrying something contagious, you should not bring it to other people.
But back in the day, you were almost forced to.
So you're advocating, just to get your perspective, you're advocating for guys with coronavirus to play.
No, that's not what I know.
But that's kind of what it sounds like.
I'm saying if you have flu-like symptoms, but you've been tested negative for coronavirus, and you have symptoms that you're sick, and you are earning a check of $1 million a game or whatever, you're going to tell me that person should not play if they want to play.
I mean,
it doesn't matter now. The NFL says you're gone.
Given the fact that the testing, and we know this because of what we're sitting in right now, is not flawless, then yes. I mean, right now, here, we don't have a game this week that we're covering because the testing is not flawless, because of a false negative. So, again...
And yet we have some people we shut down because of a false positive.
I mean, yeah.
There's no exact. I mean, that's what the reality is. I mean, there's false positives, there's false negatives.
Armstrong, okay, you guys both. I'm going to lose this battle because I'm 61 years old and I'm stubborn and an old man and get off my lawn. What do you think? No, go ahead.
I don't want to. I want to let y'all battle this out.
Let me read this story, and then we have Jennifer Smoke next. The NFL enacted a policy requiring players, team staff members, to isolate if they experience COVID-19 symptoms, even if their most recent test result was negative. That's from Chief Medical Officer Alan Sills. Another word, likely be an uptick of course, missed practices and also games as well. Odell Beckham was sent home from the team facility Thursday because of an illness, although did not speak about Beckham's. But
what's so bad about that? We might not get to see Odell Beckham this weekend.
I see no problem with that.
Yeah, I mean, if you got symptoms, you got symptoms.
Yeah. And again, I think the minor etiquette of if you are carrying a contagious disease, whether it be COVID-19, the flu or strep throat, you should not go and spread it to other people because you do not know how those people will react to even what you consider something that's not as big deal to you.
How many players would play if they weren't told they couldn't? If they had, let's say,
most of them would.
Allergies or whatever. So if you have allergies, which is what maybe got Florida in trouble.
I don't think you have to take a test for allergies, though. I mean, you actually do take an allergy test to get medicine, but I'm not saying like...
If I came in here and my nose was running badly and I'm sitting there constantly doing this, you both would be nervous, wouldn't you?
I would say take a test, yeah, absolutely.
And if I tested negative, should I then be sent home?
No, but not necessarily, but that depends on if your symptoms continue. Because again, we've seen the tests are not flawless. Why don't you just wait until you're...
Either way, they're not flawless.
Yeah, well, then wait till you're asymptomatic and just that way you're safe. I
don't know why you're
the world will keep on trying to capture this flag on top of the hill, but both of you guys know, I knew both of you might react this way. That's not why I brought it up. I brought up the story. It's just if somebody is sick and they've tested negative for COVID and they're not it's not the flu or it's not strep throat, but they're just sick.
Just sick. Just go get other people sick.
Yeah, if you're not contagious with something, then I say you're fine. But if
do they have to have a fever?
I don't know, man.
I don't know. I just think
we can do this all day about do they have an itch in their
I'm not
throat
trying
or do
to
they
argue.
have
I'm
a
just saying
sniffly nose?
You make a good point. If you just have the sniffles, technically that's a COVID symptom, but you tested negative.
But again, like
that
I said,
debatable.
We're in this vicious circle of
we may never get out of this vicious circle.
No,
let's just never do anything the rest of our lives.
That's not the point.
That's an overreaction.
No, it's an overreaction. We'll figure it out.
Or is it?
No, I don't think it's.
I think taking us being precautionary or the NFL being precautionary and saying, well, let's just never do anything ever again is a bit overreactionary. Yes, I do, because that's not what the NFL is doing. They're saying in this particular case, they're not quite sure what's going on. And after the Titans debacle, and after having to play a game on Tuesday, and after having all this shuffling of the schedules, the Falcons are now shutting down. The Panthers are having to make sure everything's okay. They don't want the season to get completely sidetracked like the Big 12 and the SEC are dealing with right now.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's all they're doing.
But I still wonder eventually, so in other words, illness, sickness, fever, strep, flu, whatever, now you're juggling a bunch of balls in the air.
Well, strep and flu are also contagious. You shouldn't give other people that too.
And people have played with strep and flu for 100 years of the NFL, and it never was an outbreak.
Yeah, people did a lot of things over the last 100 years that turned out to not be right in the long run.
Yeah,
or
they didn't wear helmets. At one point, they didn't wear helmets in football.
We didn't care about concussions once upon a time either.
Yeah. All right, I'm not going to win this one, then I'm fine with it, but that doesn't mean I have to give up. This is Sikkim 365 Radio. PioneerBoys.com. I'm on the website right now. Pioneer Steel and Pipe, Waco and Bryan. Metal buildings, design it, build it. Metal roofing, quality protection every day. Pipe and steel, the structural standard. Serving Central Texans since 1943. Objective to make sure you leave their business, Waco or Bryan, satisfied that you've been taken care of with all of your needs and building relationships and business partners for the past 75 plus years, nearly 80 years. Over the years, reputation has been built one customer at a time. You hear that, and sometimes you wonder if that really is what people mean. Well, Pioneer Boys has been able to do that for 77 years. You know that's what they mean. The boys at Pioneer Boys, no matter what you call them, they stake their claim and their reputation and their standard to help your business and treat you as if you're the only customer on the lot or in wherever they are. Firm handshake means a lot. Cup of coffee means a lot. Maybe a bag of popcorn means a lot. But the bottom line is they must have great product and great customer service to survive nearly 80 years in the business with all the ups and downs of what we have at times with the economy. And, man, do they do a great job. PioneerBoys.com.
Central Texas traditions run deep all the way to the vehicles we drive. That's why folks trust Alan Samuels. During Alan Samuels Jeep Adventure Days, get employee pricing for all on new 2020 Gladiator Sport and no payments for 90 days. Plus, the tougher than nails 2020 Jeep Renegade. 0 for 72, no payments for 90 days, or up to $6,250 in cash and subprime offers. Trusted. That's Alan Samuels, your friend in the car business.
How can we help you? That's a question we ask every day at American Bank. Hi, I'm President and CEO Dana Hassel. Our commitment to our customers is what drives us. It's why we've invested in new branch buildings and technology like ITMs that let you speak to a teller face-to-face from your car. It's why we work with local businesses, helping Waco grow and thrive. And it's why decisions about your accounts and loans are made here in Waco by people who know you. How can we help you? Find out at American Bank, member FDIC.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
What you do in privacy is your own business. What you do in public with your truck, well, that's our business at Pickup Outfitters. In your garage, it's okay for your truck to parade around in the nude with no accessories. Hey, this is still America. But when you bring your truck out in public, it's just common decency to put an outfit on your truck. And that's where we come in at Pickup Outfitters. Put a cover on that bed. Cover your rear end with a bumper and a hitch, for goodness sakes. There are women and children on the roads. And guys, don't leave your tools exposed. Put them in a toolbox. Be proud of your truck and stand tall with a lift kit. Or improve your truck's posture with a leveling kit. Add some class to your pickup with new wheels and tires. Or dress up for a date with your new RV or boat with a fifth wheel or a receiver hitch. At Pickup Outfitters, we're dedicating to making the roads decent for all Central Texans. So when taking your truck out in public, remember your manners and accessorize it properly with an outfit from Pickup Outfitters. 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance in McLennan County takes pride in backing Central Texas football. Our agents would like to help with your insurance needs. Call 254-772-8090 for an agent near you.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
The Sikkim 365 Radio Live Guest VIP Hotline is sponsored by Stonewood Dental. We are all in this together.
All right, here we go. This last part of the 3 o'clock hour. Jennifer Smoke, Fantasy Football League expert who is in a slump. Team has dropped a couple of games in a row. The shocking upset 2 weeks ago to Taylor and then beaten by the unbeaten Persia. Last week in a game where she just didn't have enough offense. Paul Catalina, Craig Smoke, David Smoke, Jennifer. Jennifer, is your team, is it fixable?
Yes, it's always fixable. It's just, are the other options going to help me out or not help me out? So I think it's fixable for now.
Look, your matchup this week, I like it. I like, you have an advantage at every position, I think, really except one running back, to be honest. So you're okay. You're okay there, but you've made some moves this week, Jennifer. You picked up Andy Dalton, and are you firm on starting him?
Well, I would have Herbert. I have Herbert and Burrow on my bench, and so Herbert is on bye this week, so I can't start him, or I would have to try to decide between him and Dalton. Burrow is playing Indianapolis, and we all know that they have a great defense. And after last week, I don't really want to talk to Burrow right now, but he really screwed me over last week. So I don't know. I'm kind of interested to see how Dalton will take over. I mean, I know everyone was impressed with his at the end of the game last week when he came in and got them the win, but we'll see. He has so many weapons on the Dallas team that I feel like it's a good choice to go with.
You've gone through more quarterbacks than the Cleveland Browns, haven't you?
I really have. That's been probably my biggest struggle this year, is trying to get a decent, consistent quarterback. And then also this week, with Paul mentioning my running backs, Josh Jacobs is on a bye this week, so I had to put in Devontae Freeman. But they're playing the Redskins, and, I know Dad's familiar with how the Redskins play.
Jennifer,
so.
that team does not exist any longer. It's the Washington Football Club.
I'm sorry. Washington Football.
All right.
Yeah. Now. So I'll just say, last week, the lineup that she played against last week would have beaten anybody. I mean, it's not okay. So let's reiterate.
Wait a minute. Persia had 176 points.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah. She got 25 points out of her defense. I mean, it's insane.
Every single person on her team basically went off.
Let's go back to the Dalton thing. Now, he did look okay when he came in. He's a 10-year veteran. But are they going to change, Paul? Are they going to wing it around as much? Or are they going to feed Zeke and we have to see that stupid thing he does after he gets 4 yards?
I don't think they're going to change much of what they do, because I don't know how much they're built to do anything else.
Well, they're going to give up points with Kyler Murray, so you would think there'd be a shootout. So that's a good thing. He's going to have to maybe wing it around a little bit.
Yeah. Good thing you're not playing against Kyler Murray this week. He might beat a team all by himself.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I do need to make some decisions, though. So,
all right, let's make them.
So I did pick up on waivers this week. I did pick up Claypool, and as we already mentioned, I also got Dalton. So, I don't know if I'm going to play Claypool this week just because I'm so stacked on receivers. I don't know how you sit Galladay and Kupp, and then obviously Will Fuller's been great too. But I did pick up Tanyan a week or two ago, and Ertz, oh my gosh, he's like my Joe Mixon this year. He is just real. Like, where is he? Like, why do the Eagles, why are they so bad? I don't understand. Like, Ertz is supposed to be a top tight end that anytime I used to play Ertz last year, I'd be like, great, that's going to be a good 15 to 20 points. But I think I might have to bench him this week. And of course, this will probably be like one of his best games of the year, but I think I have to put Tanyan in this week. What do y'all think?
I think you have to do that. Plus, they're playing against Philadelphia, so that could be 30-6.
Yes.
Or something like that.
I would drop him and pick up somebody who can help you.
No, you drop Ertz.
Yeah,
I can't drop Ertz.
I think you can.
Because,
I think you can.
No, because listen, what if Devontae, when Devontae Adams comes back, I feel like one of the reasons the reason he had such a big game the other week is because they don't have Adams right now, so he was just getting the ball a lot more. But when Adams comes back, how do I know that I can really rely on Tanyan? I mean, you know how many weeks a tight end just goes off and has so many points, and then you barely even hear from him again, So it's like, I can't let Ertz go. I just can't do that yet.
Yeah.
And the only thing I really need right now is what? Shut up, Craig. I changed my team name this week, but it's not appropriate for radio.
Can you say it?
So.
Can we say it on the radio, Paul?
What?
Jennifer's team name.
I mean, not on the over-the-air radio. I mean, we could say it here. I just don't know if our
I don't want her
employers.
to say
Let's not and move along.
I mean, I can spell it, but instead of saying it. But anyways,
no.
So
is it who gives a cup? Is that what it is? Who gives a cup?
Wake the.
Oh, okay.
Wake the blank cup.
Okay.
So, anyways, I just am not ready to drop Ertz. I feel like what I need is another running back on my bench, because if something happens I have James Robinson, which I really am hoping he's going to do good this week because the Lions have one of the worst run defenses in the league. So I'm hoping that I get a big week from him because he's been a little quiet. Then if Devontae Freeman can go off for me, that would be very beneficial. And then, like I said, Josh Jacobs is on a bye. And other than that, I don't have another running back. I had, you told me, Paul, I dropped Josh Kelly to pick up Dalton. So, you know, I do have a lot of receivers. What I'm hoping to do is take some of my receivers at like two pretty decent receivers and trade it for a top 10 to 15 running back. But these girls aren't really the trade type. So that's something that I want to try to do and talk with some of them about.
Well, hold on. Let me go to the bottom. Let's go to the bottom of your league and see.
You don't have to go very far.
No. Oh man. She's got to set her lineup. Golly. No, gosh. That's why she's at the bottom. Never mind.
Somebody forgetting that they're playing?
Don't say the name because those are supposedly friends.
No, I know.
Those are all friends. Yeah. So did Persia talk trash like Taylor did, Jennifer, after the win? Or is she just such a good team? She doesn't. Yeah.
No, she knows better. Anyone smart would not send me some smart aleck, text because it wouldn't go over.
So did you
wouldn't go over well?
Are you suggesting Taylor's not very smart?
No, she just, she was excited. It was her first win of the week. So, I gave her a pass. But,
okay.
I mean, I just, I'm too competitive.
Okay. I would try to trade for Chris Carson with the real Slim Brady.
Who the hell is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's Alex's team.
Okay.
No, that's Alex.
I mean, she has Blue Adams and she has Robert Woods. So she's got some okay receivers, but you could certainly upgrade that position for her.
Okay, that's what I'll consider.
Yeah.
Because I was looking at several other people's teams, and it's like with all these buys and everything, people, there's not really a whole lot of trade talk right now. So I know I need to get another running back, and I'm hoping, maybe if somebody else gets hurt or something, I'll get a backup or whatever. But I don't want anyone to get hurt, but just,
Golly,
in case.
The double whammy of picking
or getting COVID or something.
Yeah, the double whammy of picking Saquon Barkley instead of Zeke, which is not a bad decision. Everybody basically on Twitter, when I asked the question, said Saquon. And then he's gone, and Zeke, of course, now is more important than ever before. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
It's funny how some people said that.
but not Paul.
No.
It's part of the draft, though. It's like, okay, if I didn't go with Saquon and Zeke got hurt this year, and then or Saquon was a bust, or if Saquon went off, you can look at it either way for everybody.
You don't have that kind of mystical power, Jen. I can tell you.
The thing is that Gardner, she did not get enough from Minshew,
but she only kept him for 1 week. I played Gardner Minshew last week. He had a nice week, even in a loss, and put up some points. Because
I thought you weren't going to start Burrow last week, Jennifer, against Baltimore.
Yeah, well, see, what happened was I was like on vacation. My app wouldn't really load, and then it was like I didn't think it was that bad to leave him in, but now I've realized it was a terrible mistake. I know, I get it. Herbert had like over 40 points, but even if the only reason I'm not beating myself up about it is because even if I had Herbert in last week, I still would not have won.
Yeah, that's true.
So
that's true.
It's just like, it is what it is. But I do have 3 quarterbacks right now because I've got Herbert since he's on bye. I've got Dalton in, and then I don't know if I'm ready to drop Burrow or not yet, but I'm only keeping these 3 right now because of the fact that Herbert's on bye, and I want to see how Dalton does before I drop Burrow.
Okay.
So, I think, I don't know. This week is going to be another interesting week just because I don't have my main people in, but like Paul said, I feel like it's a pretty fair matchup right now. I'm projected to have a win probability of 51%. So.
All right. Well, good luck.
It's pretty even.
Good
All
luck.
right. Thanks,
Get
guys.
back to 500. Thank you, Jennifer. That's Jennifer Smoke, Fantasy Football League expert with us on Sikkim 365 Radio. We have a loaded up hour coming up. Max Olson, Alexis DeJoria, American Drag Racer, Mickey Spagnola, Jeff Hume of Midway. This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Pickup Outfitters, 220 Lake Air Drive. 22 years they have been outfitting trucks, SUVs, and vans, and they want to continue to then one of these days say 40 years or 50 years. But you got to get through the first part of the 20s, and they are Wickel's pickup outfitter because they sell high-quality truck accessories at a fair price and also professionally install them to meet the factory specifications, all with outstanding customer service. There's that again, customer service. Everything purchased and installed at Pickup Outfitters comes with their lifetime installation guarantee and free warranty assistance. You can depend on Pickup Outfitters' professional advice, the right accessory, and the one you need, not the one they want to sell you. They'll have those things that are inside their store, but if you want something, they'll get it. And again, as I mentioned, Pickup Outfitters comes, anything purchased and installed with their lifetime installation guarantee and free warranty assistance. CreateACommotion.com, 220 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Bird Culture Ford has been in Waco since 1936. Ford, the #1 selling truck in Texas, 43 years running. And Bird Culture Ford proudly supports high school football in Central Texas. And no better way to tailgate with a Ford than from Bird Culture Ford. And are there better vehicles to tailgate with than the Ford F-150 or the Ford Expedition? And of course, you can get them new pre-owned Bird Culture Ford. Our sponsor of the Ford Tough Player of the Week, locally owned dealership. Online at bkford.com at 1701 West Loop 340 in Waco. Bird Culture Ford.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, specializing in diagnosis and treatment of any and all sport-related injuries, celebrating over a decade of service to Central Texas. They tackle all surgical and non-surgical problems that arise from an active lifestyle. Trust the doctors that Baylor trust, and when injuries sideline you, don't wait for Monday. Join us at 8:30 on Saturday mornings for a post-game injury evaluation clinic. Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. We get you back in the game.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Texas board-certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recall drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com. Principal office located in Houston, Texas.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Max Olson of The Athletic, brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
That pass is dangerous when it's picked off. A.J. Parker, he's got room to roam down the sidelines. Touchdown,
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
All right, college football. We mentioned Cincinnati and Tulsa. That's the latest game to get shut down. Missouri Vanderbilt, Florida LSU. Nick Saban has COVID. Baylor continues to be on football-related activities suspended until sometime. They hope early next week to play Texas if they do. And Max Olson joins us now, Sikkim 365 Radio. Max, is this are we peaking, or is this the beginning of even a higher peak, you think, in college football?
Yeah, I'm certainly not the medical expert on that. I think I wouldn't say we're peaking. I think it's probably a good reminder that even as much as each of these programs trying to come up with really safe and smart protocols, but this is still pretty random and pretty hard to control. And I think the Nick Saban case is a great example of that. That's a coach who has taken this very, very seriously from the very beginning. And you always see him wearing his mask on the sideline. You see a coach who has taken great care to try and do this the best way he can in this program, and yet somehow he and his athletic director both test positive. So I think that it's the headlines are kind of in the SEC this week, but I think there will be this. I think this is probably coming for the Big Ten too, and probably for the Pac-12 when they get going. Even though they plan to do daily testing, I think they're still going to have to deal with this as well. So I think this is I don't know that there's an end in sight in terms of what we're dealing with right now.
Max, we've heard the SEC saying that they're going to find teams that have have broken protocols. Do you think that some of the results of this week in the SEC is because teams like maybe Florida broke some protocols?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think the one thing when I've watched their games that is a little alarming to me is I think you've seen the crowds at Georgia home games and Texas A&M home games in some places, and you look at that on TV and say, it looks like I'm watching the game from 2019, in terms of the crowd and the distancing and all that. So I do wonder if they need to look into that a little bit more. It is hard to determine if kind of those events are leading to more cases or not. Certainly you have folks at Florida right now who are trying to kind of pinpoint that, and they think that their trip to College Station may have played a factor in their outbreak. So who knows on that? But, I think, again, like I'm sure Nick Saban didn't do anything wrong in terms of breaking protocols and stuff. It's just this can happen, and you hope that the programs are taking it seriously and trying to minimize the number of cases they're dealing with.
So, Max, this Eyes of Texas controversy that has seemed to really gain a lot of traction, even more so than it originally had, but particularly this week. I was just reading a Horns 24/7 lengthy article they put out with some unnamed coaches who were talking about how Del Conte had mandated teams stand or stick around for the Eyes of Texas, and that two programs were doing that and one program wasn't, and that one program was football. I mean, it's getting a little bit ugly, isn't it? And just what do you make of kind of what's going on in Austin right now?
Yeah, I think you got a lot of people in cover your ass mode right now, quite honestly. I think that, there's been a lot of scrutiny on Chris Del Conte and a lot of scrutiny on Tom Herman in terms of the breakdown that's occurred here where, is this something that can be fixed? I think they're in a very tough position here because I think that, certainly these are not paid employees, right? What are you going to do if players decide they want to walk off to the locker room and not participate in the Eyes of Texas because of the qualms that they have with that tradition? What exactly can you do to stop them? And so, I think this next step of getting together and trying to encourage / pressure them into abiding by this tradition, I don't know how well that's going to go with their next home game, whether that's Baylor or if that game gets postponed, then the next one. It's a fascinating problem for Chris Del Conte, who I think it seems like he's trying to put, kind of pass the blame down to the coaching staff at Texas. It's a really hard position for Tom Herman, where you don't want to lose your team, obviously, and you're trying to kind of say the right things to please the people. But clearly Texas, I think, underestimated the backlash from fans and certainly from high-level donors about how this would look at the end of games and, how this would affect these people who are very passionate about this long-time tradition.
Who's going to win? If Herman's backing the players, but he's maybe losing the power struggle with his bosses, would this not allow this Texas team, which has been a mess, could this actually ignite them to play hard? Not harder because we don't, but even more so be behind their coach and maybe spark them? Or is this going to be just the beginning of the end for Tom Herman because his bosses are the ones that make the decisions?
Yeah, I mean, this is the impossible position that you're talking about here. I think it probably makes more sense to back your players because I think if you lose your team and you lose a bunch of games and go 4-6 or whatever, they're going to fire you, right? So, like, I think I think you have to kind of stick by your team and try and do right by them and try to live up to the words that you said throughout the offseason in that you were going to, pay more attention to their feelings on this stuff and try to be accepting and understanding. Like, I think you have to kind of stick by that because if you do lose the team and this season falls apart, and it certainly feels like it's on the brink in some ways, even though this team has played a bunch of close games and, maybe isn't as bad as the record shows, I think you do have to kind of be careful in sticking by them and hope that hope that can lead to a change in results here. But it's certainly a very tenuous situation, and you have to be mindful of your boss and Chris O'Connell and mindful of the boosters who certainly have a lot of say in your fate and would be the ones who would be, forking over the money for a buyout.
Is Texas one of the few schools that can look $54 million in losses in the athletic department and add on to it with a buyout and not worry about it?
I mean, no. You have to pass the hat, honestly, among your boosters who are already serious at you, and you also need them to continue to pay the bills here on this, South End Zone project that is supposed to be finished in time for the start of the 2021 season. So this is, from a financial standpoint, this is the worst possible time to have these issues, and that's why the pressure and anxiety is cranked up so much.
Max, that was obviously a huge win for A&M last weekend. Got unfortunate news with Caleb Chapman being hurt after that fantastic catch, but what a W. Now they travel to Starkville, and they face a Mike Leach team that scored 2 points last week. KJ Costello had like 1 billion interceptions. What do you begin to make of this game? And obviously the little underlying history there with Leach and the Aggies.
Yeah, I think if A&M just goes and does their job, they should roll in this one because certainly what's going on at Mississippi State right now is fascinating. Where you go from game one, you beat LSU, Costello's like the player of the week in college football. Basically, everyone is hailing Mike Leach and his air raid offense and what you can do in the SEC with that system when you have that much more talent than you had at Washington State and Texas Tech. And within 2 weeks here, you're already talking about not just benching KJ Costello, but, Mike Leach after their game last week was talking about, we got to kick a bunch of players out of this program. So it is certainly more than regressing back to the mean there at Mississippi State, and they got to get things under control there. But I think A&M, with the way we've seen, they can potentially play some pretty good defense under Mike Elko. I think they should be able to. I think they're certainly catching Mississippi State on the right week here.
Max, thank you very much. Max Olson with us on Thursdays at 4.
By the way, Max, great he had a great piece on the SEC defenses and how they're struggling right now. But.
Yeah, they're all the various reasons for what's going on. Astros, George Springer, home run to lead off the game against the Rays. They're trying to dig themselves out of that 3-0 hold. Now 3-1. Game 5 is underway. Astros 1-0 in the bottom of the first. This is Sikkim 365 Radio.
The First National Bank of Central Texas. 5 locations right here at home. Waco, Woodway, Hewitt, China Spring, Martin, Hillsboro. Familiar faces making local decisions. Here to help you, your family, and your business. Whether it's great times or tough times, all of us need a bank we can count on. Great people with great technology. Dedicated to their customers and helping our area grow. Safe banking in person or use their online and mobile apps. Convenient drive-through and ATMs at all locations. And that's 5 locations right here at home. Waco, Woodway, Hewitt, China Spring, Martin, Hillsboro. The First National Bank of Central Texas.
A group of over 30 physicians in Central Texas became frustrated seeing patients fail at losing weight themselves. They opened Muscle-Wise Nutrition. We've seen too many patients suffer from complications of obesity. Patients who have tried countless do-it-yourself diets, which often results in 25% of the weight they lose coming from muscle breakdown and muscle loss. We needed another approach, so we opened Muscle-Wise Nutrition. This is a coach-managed diet program to lose substantial weight, targeting fat while sparing muscle. Dieters are seen weekly by a coach who performs detailed body composition analysis. Please email us at sick'em365@musclewisenutrition.com, and one of our coaches will contact you promptly to get you set up for our free educational seminars. Lose weight by losing fat and sparing muscle. Start Muscle-Wise today. Contact us at sick'em365@musclewisenutrition.com.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. And this football season, you need to stop by on game day for curbside pickup or stop by their tent next to Sick'em 365 at Brazos Parking for your pregame refreshment. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Car has the trucks, man. They have the one for you. Got short or long bed, silver, black or blue. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, he has the truck for you. Carr has the trucks, man. He has the truck you need. If you want the best truck, you want a GMC. Texas size selection, great prices too. Richard Carr, they have the truck for you.
Welcome back to Sick'em 365 Radio.
So a couple of Toyotas. Somebody's got to race. Hulk Hagan. Alexis left side. JR Todd right. JR has problems. He pedals it a couple of times. Alexis, kaboom! Blows the body off of it in the shutdown area. Gets over up against the concrete. And wins.
3.91, 322 miles an hour. You saw that thing had some really hot pipes as it was closing in on the finish line. And then it went kablooey.
The Sikkim 365 radio app is sponsored by Alan Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
Alexis DeJoria, she's going to be a part of the AAA Fall Nationals at the Texas Motorplex, which is coming up in Ennis this weekend. In fact, they're already starting to have events there now. Billy Meyer, track owner, was on with us earlier this week. And I got to start off, Alexis, first of all, thanks for your time. That car exploded. Luckily, it was the shell on the outside. You kept going. But the announcer, Paul, you're the one that brought this up. The announcer was like, kablooey. It's like, what was that moment like when you're inside that shell?
Yeah, I think, the word kablooey doesn't really hit home with me. I could use some other words, but I won't say it on the air right now. But thanks for having me on the show, guys. I appreciate it, David and Paul.
Yeah, David.
Right on.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. That was it was unexpected. There was no warning signs whatsoever, and it happened after the finish line. So I was going full speed ahead, and it just all of a sudden just bam and fire in my face, and then my car became a convertible.
So, you saw the fire, but like you're going so fast. Do you even, when you see the fire, is that when you realize that something happened, or did you know something happened before then?
It was like a concussion. It happened so fast, like a bomb going off right in your face, really. With nitromethane, that's pretty much what it's like. No, I was about to shut the car off. So I was already kind of like, I'm done with my run. I didn't even realize that I had won the race. And, that was my first question when I got out of the car. Did we win? Does it count?
So where did your love for racing stem from?
I'd have to say my dad introduced me to fast cars and, motorsports. I just always loved it, and growing up in high school, I was always hanging out with guys, building hot rods and racing them and stuff. So it was just a thing, that I just loved.
Yeah, and is it almost a need for adrenaline, a need for crossing or pushing the envelope, part of your adrenaline or competitiveness with this sport?
I definitely love that feeling of, when my skull feels like it's on fire. you're going so fast. All form of motorsport, 2 wheels, 4 wheels, dirt, pavement, whatever.
What drew you more to the drag racing though? Even though you've done a lot.
The nitro funny cars.
The power of those.
How wily they are, and it looks like a major challenge. And I was just blown away at the speeds and the sounds and the feeling that you get when you go to an NHRA drag race. It's unlike anything else before. And I was 16 when I went to my first drag race, and it just was like, I'm going to do that one day. I'm going to drive that car right there. I'm going to drive one of those cars. Made it happen.
You made your professional debut at the track you're going to be at this week, right? The Texas Motorplex. Was that almost 10 years ago? So is it always when you go back to the Texas Motorplex, and I've done shows from there, it's a great facility. They do an incredible job. Is it always kind of like something special because that's where you started?
Yeah, they really do a great job there. It's family owned. Gotta love them. That track is meaningful to me. It's the place where I went to my first final in alcohol funny car. It's where I got licensed in a nitro funny car. It's where I debuted. And now it's, home track. I live in Austin, Texas for almost a decade now. So I can definitely call it a home track. But, I've always had good luck out there. I love racing out there.
Alexis, we're all, I think, a bit, we're all dealing with a bit of tire head and talking about, everything going on with COVID and all that. And we've seen the effect that it's had on every sport so far. For you and your sport in particular, what has it changed? Or is it pretty close to normal? Like, how has that worked for you and what you've experienced so far?
It's kind of depressing, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, we are in a form of entertainment. Obviously, we'll find a way to race no matter what, but without the fans there, without the people in the stands, it's just not the same. Without the driver intros, without the winner's circle, without all that, it's just really, it's depressing. It's sad. And I know, everybody's going through their own issues with this whole mess. But I'm just grateful that we were even able to run any races for the rest of the remainder of the season. We started out, this is my first year back in the last 2 years, and, had a good run at it. The first race in Pomona at the Winter Nationals, and then we went to Arizona, and that was it. I've done some testing, in between then, but even that was cut off. It was hard. It was really hard coming back and being like, yeah, all right, cool. I'm racing again. And then all of a sudden it hit, and it's like 6 months, we're done.
Despite the incident in St. Louis and what we discussed, do you feel like you got your car where it needs to be now? Do you feel good about this week?
I really do. Minus the explosions. I mean, I'm really happy with the way our car's running right now. Dell and Nikki and I and Matt, we're all, on the same page we've got a hot rod, and it's consistent and it's fast, and our numbers are in the top half of the field all the way down the track. Yeah, I mean, it's on a hell of a run right now. I can't wait to get back out in it.
Alexis DeGiorno is our guest again on Sikkim 365 Radio. The event, the entire AAA Fall Nationals at the Motorplex, Texas Motorplex, right up the street, basically from Waco, right south of Dallas this weekend. Has a woman ever won a funny car championship? Is that something you feel like with your new ownership and your partners that's something you can do? That is the goal. It's been the goal from day one when I was, obviously sitting in the stands watching the Nitro Funny Cars go down the track. I said to myself, I will race one of those cars. And my ultimate goal is to win a championship, obviously, and to be the first female to do it. So, yeah, we're going to give it a go, man, all in. So that's something that you have the new ownership. How long does that take to kind of get, like, if, for example, a new GM in a football team or a new coach in basketball? Is it something that takes time, or do you guys feel like you kind of morphed into that pretty quickly? It does take time in the sense that, like, no matter what car you're driving, every one of them reacts differently to the input the crew chiefs do. It's, you could have the same driver, the same crew, everything, but you get in a different car, and sometimes it just doesn't, react the same way. It doesn't listen to what you want it to do. So it does take time. Like, none of us are new. I'm not new. Dell's not new. Nikki, none of our crew is new. We've all been doing this for a minute. But as a team together, we're somewhat new, and we're building from the ground up. It's like starting fresh. So it does take time to build that, to get the information. Obviously, other teams are ahead of us right now because they never stopped. But I did. I stopped for 2 years. Is this so? It takes a little bit of time. Yeah. Did you miss it? Oh, for sure. Of course. Yeah. No, I was coming back. I just, it was just a matter of time. the mammograms that you've promoted, the Breast Cancer Awareness Day, I think, or week was this week, and the month as well. How close is that to your heart? It's extremely close to my heart. I've known some women personally that have, not made it from breast cancer. It's very sad in the racing world too. And I don't know if it's just because I'm getting older or things are getting worse, but man, I hear about it so much more now than I ever did. And bringing, free mammograms to the track for women who can't, maybe afford it, or they just are scared to go do it, making it just more accessible was what our point was. And I hope to bring it back again someday. So yeah, it was a great program. Sounds like you've got everything kind of together, and thank goodness your car was not even worse. I can't even imagine that moment, and Shirley, appreciate the description, because that's something, unless you're doing what you do. And the daredevil, the speed junkie, it's just in your blood. It has to be in your blood, right?
I love going fast.
Good for you, and you do. Thank you very much. We appreciate it, Alexis. Good luck this weekend in Ennis.
Right on. Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
Alexis DeJoria and mentioned that her father is the founder of the Paul Mitchell Hair Care and also Patron Tequila.
I have enjoyed both those products quite thoroughly in my life. As a matter of fact, if you want to smell my hair right now, it smells like tea tree shampoo from Paul Mitchell.
That's good that it doesn't smell like Patron.
You should have.
Yeah.
That would be
I'm glad I didn't get mixed up. It's happened before.
Because of the Patron. Yeah. All right, she was great. Thanks to Ilan Werner. Thanks to Billy Meyer from earlier this week, the Texas Motorplex. That is a great facility, and they have the AAA Fall Nationals going on this week right now and through the weekend up in Ennis, just up the road. This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Mickey Spagnola is coming up next. Don's Humidor. They have cigars, they have coffee beans, they have CBD products, and they do an incredible job of always having something new. Always something new. And if you look at a picture of inside of their building, there is a 48-foot walk-in humidor that's loaded with all the cigar brands that you could imagine you'd ever want, including the Cuatro Nicaragua, the number one cigar right now. Aston, Arturo Fuente. Also, if you want, Christoph, Macanudo, Monte Cristo, Padron, not Patron, but Padron. Also, the Punch, Rocky Patel, Romeo and Julieta. These are all phenomenal. Cohiba, the great names of cigars that you would ever have, not just around here in Central Texas, inside their 48-foot walk-in humidor, but also inside around this country and, of course, around the world as well. They have CBD products, including, if you're interested, Vita Dreams, which allows you, if you're one of those that struggles to fall asleep, too much on your mind, or just things like maybe you have those nervous legs that sometimes you feel like your legs have fire ants on them. You need something to help you fall asleep quicker and easier to get that extra sleep every night. Vita Dreams. Ask them about it. Carol and Ashley, Don's Humidor, also the coffee beans, a variety of flavors, and of course taste as well. It's Don's Humidor, their 48-foot walk-in humidor. Tell Smokey sent you in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
After my first car accident, I feared the biggest damage would be to my wallet. I expected a mountain of bills and a long, drawn-out process. But my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent was there when I needed her and helped me get back on my feet and in my car in no time. Instead of a hassle, I got reassurance and a quick recovery.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
How often have you said it's time to get in shape every day, every week, every month, maybe for as long as you can remember? How about starting today? I promise if you'll just join Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness now, you'll thank me later. Hi, this is David Smoke, offering a variety of 40 group exercise classes every single week, including boot camp on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5:15, plus spin, body shaping, Pilates, yoga, and bar. And oh, there's a free kids club as well. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness open Monday through Thursday,
5 to 10, Friday 5 to 8, Saturday and Sunday 7 to 7, and personal trainers Christy London and Randall Court. World-class tennis facility with pros Britt Coleman and Joe Rosa with lessons, camps, and special events. Spacious and clean workout rooms, locker room for men and women, both with a whirlpool and sauna, and now there's touchless bottle filling stations. No intimidation, tremendous camaraderie, an entirely new atmosphere, and yes, you can do this, but you have to walk through the front door. It's time to react today, not tomorrow. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Mickey Spagnola of DallasCowboys.com. Brought to you by the First National Bank of Central Texas, with 5 locations to serve you.
All right, 4:39 is the time. We'll have our high school football pick'em at the top of the hour. In a moment, Midway coach Jeff Hume, they're 0-2. They have the bye week and then start district play next week. Mickey joins us from the Star in Frisco. And in fact, that's a day that was very, very busy, Mickey. Dak Prescott went to see the doctor, posted something on social media, apparently inside the building. Were you there? Did you see some of the reaction? And apparently just lit that place up. Everyone happy, of course, to see him.
Yeah, unfortunately, David, we are basically sequestered from where the players and coaches are. We're not allowed. So only, as a matter of fact, only on that side of the building, the people that are Tier 1, Tier 2, that get tested every day for COVID are the only ones allowed to be around the team. So, this occurred to me the other day, and I know this is a long-winded answer, but probably going to go through an entire season without ever meeting some of these players and also some of the new coaches that we might not have met in the off season. But we'll never have a face-to-face meeting with any of these people.
Mickey, Andy Dalton steps in. Do you expect to see the offense change too much from what they've been doing?
No, I really don't. Aside from, they're probably not going to run a lot of read options with Andy Dalton, probably not calling a lot of quarterback draws, which some people might suggest they called one too many for Dak. But other than that, I see them running their offense. He's highly capable of throwing the ball. He's not some washed-up quarterback. This guy can still play. And I think you saw it, in his performance when he took over on Sunday against the Giants. To me, you guys, and I'm open to debate, but he may be the most accomplished backup quarterback that still has ability the Cowboys have had since, I don't know, I'd probably take you back into the 90s to find someone better. Vinny Testaverde was 40-some years old. This guy's 32. He's still got time. He was willing to be a backup for 1 year, but in his mind, he still thinks he has starting quality, and that's why he only signed a 1-year deal. So, yeah, I think they just run the offense. There's this notion out there that all they're going to do is hand off to Zeke. Well, I don't think they have to do that. And if they start doing it, what do you think the defenses are going to do? They're going to load up against the run, which may be a good thing because I think Andy Dalton, if they just give the receivers man-to-man coverage, one-on-one, I think he'll rip them apart with these guys.
Mickey, what was your kind of just initial reaction when you saw Dak go down in the manner that he did? And did that just turn into a scramble drill for Cowboys media as soon as that moment occurred and trying to figure out the details and make sense of everything that was going on?
Well, my initial reaction when he went down, he grabbed his calf, and I'm thinking, oh, it's a cramp, or maybe he pulled a calf muscle, right? And I saw the angle his foot was at in relation to his leg, and I was like, "Oh, you got to be kidding me!" And the whole thing, you guys, it was so Dak, right? So you're the quarterback. You ran a quarterback draw. You got 7 yards. Go ahead and slide, right? No, Dak can't do that. He's gonna, excuse me. He's going to push forward like he's Ezekiel Elliott and get those extra couple yards to get a first down. And then he's sitting there sitting on the ground with his foot in the dislocated ankle, and he's trying to twist it to get it back in place on his own. And I'm going, are you serious? And David will remember this. I remember a time in the 90s. It was the early 90s, probably around 92, 93 at the most. Troy Aikman suffered a dislocated finger. And he turned to his offensive guard, Kevin Gogan, who would be the last person I would turn to, and says, "Oh, pull it. Get it back in place." And there's Gogan yanking on his finger, trying to get it back in place. And it made me think of that. It's like, Dak, this is an ankle. You can't do that. So, yeah, it was kind of sickening to watch, and you just kind of felt sorry for him because you know how much he loves it. And when I saw the tears in his eyes, I'm not sure it was all pain. I think it was the fact that he was leaving his team and felt like he was letting them down because he wouldn't be there for the rest of the season.
By the way, we have Kevin Gogan tomorrow at 5:30 on this show. Thank you for giving us something we could bring up.
See if he remembers that. Although Gogs probably burned some brain cells. I don't know how good his memory is.
Yeah, Mickey. Also, you forgot to mention that he hopped on one leg to the cart.
Oh yeah, he wasn't going to be carried, right? Yep. Now that's just Dak, and so it was so Dak that he showed up there today. You know, he went back to the doctor to get checked out, and then he stops the star. And as Mike McCarthy said this morning, he said it was like a bolt of electricity through the locker room. Everybody saw him there, and that's just the kind of leader he is, and the respect he has, not only from his team, right, but you saw it from the Giants, you saw it from national people, the celebrities out there, and it was such a neat scene to see Jason Garrett and Mike McCarthy there together on the field, kind of watching what was going on with him. Those are moments that, from covering games that you just don't forget.
You know, I started thinking back. I know Romo eventually had the back issue, and I think it was Seattle, wherever that went, ended it for him or what happened. But in the end, over the last 30 years or so, even going back, Staubach got knocked out a few times, but Meredith, Morton, Staubach, Danny White, Aikman, Romo, they've had an amazing amount of success when it comes to their quarterbacks. I'm not talking about guys that have come and try to replace them, but they've had an amazing run when it comes to the health of their star quarterbacks. And it's like shocking because it hasn't happened much. You know, Romo had kind of broken down a little bit when he was out. And so this is something that a lot of teams face every year, or at least seems like quite a bit. The Andy Dalton signing in the end might have been their best signing they had this offseason, and you never knew it.
Oh, I thought it was, David. I thought it was the best signing they had of an accomplished player that was willing to be your backup. Now, I'll go back for you. If you go back to 2010, I figured out that this is the fifth time the Cowboys have lost a starting quarterback in the last 11 years. If you look at Romo, got knocked out in 2010. He couldn't play the final game in 2013. Remember when they had to win, beat Philadelphia, and he had suffered the disc problem, and they did surgery on Thursday before the Sunday game against Philly. That Kyle Orton ended up getting beat 24-22. He got knocked out twice, if you think about it, in 2015, right? With the fractured collarbone, and then 2016, as you mentioned, against Seattle, basically knocked out for the season, and now this. So this is the most, to me, accomplished backup quarterback they've had since the 90s. That still has something left. he's not washed up. Cincinnati just decided they were going young. They had the first pick in the draft. Let's go get Joe Burrow. So they released Andy Dalton. And I would imagine he had opportunities to go to a team and challenge for a starting job. But remember, he had a home here. His family was here. It was April 4th, I think, when he signed. No one knew April 4th that there was going to be a season. So he's thinking, I don't have to move my family. I'll sign here for 1 year, and let's see what happens. But I don't want to be going to a new town not knowing if we're ever going to play football again. And if you remember when he signed, you guys, it was like, I didn't come here to say this is the end of my career. He was thinking, if I get the opportunity, I'm going to go out there and regenerate my career, and someone's going to want to sign me as a starter. I think he had Teddy Bridgewater in mind.
Mickey, thank you. Appreciate your time as always. Mickey and the Cowboys, of course, they'll be in contingent as he's a part of Monday night against Kyler Murray in Arizona. Mickey Spagnola, DallasCowboys.com, with us on Sikkim 365 Radio. Coming up next, Midway 0-2 after the loss to South Grand Prairie. We'll hear from Jeff Hume as they have the bye week. They start district next week against Mansfield, where he once coached. Also, after that, high school football pick'em. Sam Bradshaw will break down what he has seen. Baylor's next opponent, we think, will be Texas. He'll discuss what he's seen with them. Also look at Iowa State, Kansas State, Oklahoma, and even the SEC with Alabama. And now what's happened to Mississippi State is they've had some problems since the win against LSU. This is Sikkim 365 Radio.
If you are looking to buy a new home, you need to call my friend Lance Donaldson and the Donaldson family team, brokered by eXp Realty. Lance is a fantastic dude. He is going to help you find the best house that you could possibly imagine. He is going to listen to you. He's going to hear everything you have to say. He's going to take that information, and he's going to find your dream home for you. He's got great listings. Just go on his website right now, lancenelson.exprealty.com, and you can see he's got a ranch out in Limestone County by Lake Limestone. He's got houses in town in McLennan County. He's got stuff Bosqueville, China Spring, whatever it is. And plus, even if it's not, if you find a house, he's going to help you make the best deal possible. So give him a call, 254-214-3713, or online at lancedonaldson.exprealty.com.
Bird Culchin Ford has been in Waco since 1936. Ford, the #1 selling truck in Texas, 43 years running. And Bird Culchin Ford proudly supports high school football in Central Texas. And no better way to tailgate with a Ford than from Bird Culchin Ford. And are there better vehicles to tailgate with than the Ford F-150 or the Ford Expedition? And of course, you can get them new, pre-owned Bird Culchin Ford. Our sponsor of the Ford Tough Player of the Week, locally owned dealership. Online at bkford.com at 1701 West Loop 340 in Waco. Bird Culchin Ford.
Automatic Chef Canteen is a full-service micro-market vending and office coffee provider with state-of-the-art vending equipment, a wide variety of products, and offering custom-fitted micro-market vending office coffee solution for your employee break room. You want a full break room solution and workplace oasis? Well, Automatic Chef Canteen, locally owned and operated for over 50 years in Central Texas, also includes in-house mechanics on call 24/7 for fast, reliable service and maintenance. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive, AutomaticChefCanteen.com.
Looking for quality plants at great prices? Barrera's Nursery and Landscape Company at 201 Sun Valley Drive in Hewitt is the place for seasonal plants, shrubs, trees, and perennials, as well as bulk material of landscape rock. Barrera's Nursery and Landscape has been locally owned and operated for 22 years. Give us a call at 666-9806. That's 666-9806 for all your landscaping needs. Barrera's Nursery and Landscape Company. Open Monday through Saturday, 8 until 5:30 on Sun Valley Drive in Hewitt.
Hi, this is Jeff Hume, head football coach at Midway High School, and you're listening to Sikkim 365 Radio with David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
This segment with Midway Panthers football coach Jeff Hume is sponsored by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, Southwest Sports Medicine, Automatic Chef, Bird Culchin Ford, Barrera's Landscape and Nursery, Petty Clinic Low T, Halo Athletic Center, First National Bank of Central Texas, Camille Johnson Realtors.
Jeff, you knew that this would be a challenge early on, especially with the schedule you had. You had what seemed like opportunities. You didn't have that against Westlake. Your thoughts about being 0-2 and where your team is mentally as they get this bye week?
Nobody likes to be 0-2. We've been 0-2 really the last 2 or 3 years, and I think it's the quality of teams we play, but, that's an excuse, and we're not doing that. But you're right. We did have opportunity the other night. When I was watching the film the other day, I didn't even realize that we were ahead in every quarter but the fourth, and we had the lead at the end of the first quarter, the end of the second quarter, the end of the third quarter, and we just didn't finish in the fourth quarter. So, that showed progress. That showed us, getting where we need to be. We're just we just got to find that right combination, whether it's the right 5 combination lineman, whether it's the right 4 combination secondary, or whatever we need to do at the positions to find it so we can start clicking and getting a rhythm offensively, defensively. The kids are playing hard. They're working hard. The kids are fine. I mean, the players they're ready to go. They're excited about the open week because it gives us an extra week to get ready for Mansfield, and we're going to see what we can do about it. Well,
and I was gonna say, is this the perfect time for that bye week, or that what I call off week?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it just it allows us a chance to catch our breath before district starts, because it's going to be a heck of a district. The games in there. There's no weak sisters in my book in any of those. So we've got to step it up. I mean, we've got to step up our game and step up our practice and everything we do.
You couldn't protect Garrett early on in that game with Westlake. Did you feel like you had cleaned that up a little bit? That's a lot better than it was that opening game with Westlake.
I think so. I mean, and a lot, goes to, like I just said, about trying to find the right combination of 5 linemen and go at it that way. And,
right.
And still, it's still a work in progress and still trying to get it, fine tuned. But yeah, Garrett, I thought he threw the ball much better, and I think he was more comfortable. He's still, trying to get his rhythm with the receivers and everything, and it's just there's not a lot of time for patience and because the season's going, and so from that standpoint, it's you hate to say a work in progress, but that's really what it is.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Engel with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like instant issue debit cards free at all of our banking centers, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Nitchie Group Insurance Agency. With the Nitchie Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Nitchie Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Nitchie Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T is board-certified physician consultations, will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
Waco's
Waco's newest gym, Halo Athletic Center, 5725 Bagby Avenue, right behind Region 12 and across the highway from the Central Texas Marketplace, where motivation, inspiration, and hard work are the driving force. State-of-the-art equipment, indoor and outdoor track, locker rooms, showers, yoga and bar classes by Duality Yoga, bod pod potty composition analysis, and registered dietitians, all under one roof where we rise above. Come join the Halo Athletic Center and be a part of the change. Your change.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Employee pricing is back at Allen Samuels, exclusively on the king of minivans, the new 2020 Chrysler Pacifica. Get employee pricing plus financing as low as 0% or employee pricing and up to $4,250 in cash. You get Pacifica loaded up with style, comfort, and options all in one gorgeous minivan. Employee pricing with special financing or cash. Choices are always great at your friend in the car business, Allen Samuels.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Ben Erlinson, who'll navigate you through today's financial climate. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Webb, this time Gaither left side, has room, bounces, and he will score. Untouched. Touchdown. 19 yards.
Now here's David Smoke, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoke.
All right, Craig will be here momentarily. Astros still up now, top of the third, 1-0 Tampa. The Rays had a pretty good threat in the second inning, but they were able to get out of it. Bases loaded and a deep fly to center field that ended right there, that warning track power, deep center field. So 1-0 Houston, top of the third. And the Astros, hey, you never know when that – it happens, it seemed like, much more often than ever before. The Red Sox, remember, not only ended 100 years of misery, they did it by coming back the way they did against the Yankees. 1-0, or is it now 1-1? No, it is tied. The Rays have tied it up with a run in the top of the third. Okay.
A home run by Brandon Lowe.
Yeah, Lau. It's Lau.
Oh.
It's Lau, and he's their best hitter, and he sat down last night. In the big moment, they had a huge rally, and he came in and struck out on like three, of course, I believe they were sliders or fork balls, whatever they were inside. He did not have a chance. Do they still do a fork ball?
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
All right, here's Pick'em. Right now I have a Craig six-pack. Second place, Grayson, for God's sakes. Just 18-2 last week.
Yeah, that's
vaulted
a nice week.
over Brian and Paul and many others. So here we go. All right, tonight, District 12 6A begins. This is the district with what? Killeen, Belton schools, obviously, the Killeen schools, Belton, Cove, Temple, and Bryan. And it starts tonight at Leo Buckley. I miss old Leo Buckley Stadium.
I miss any
Killeen.
any big, nice 6A stadium. I miss
Killeen at home against Belton. Paul.
I'll take Killeen.
Craig.
I'm going to take Belton, actually.
Okay. I'm going to take Killeen. Harker Heights at Bryan. Craig.
I will take Bryan.
I'm going to take Harker Heights. I don't know anything about this district.
I'll take Heights.
Okay. All right. All right, Shoemaker at home against Ellis, and of course it's home for both. It's a neutral game, but Shoemaker the home team, and I'll take Toby Foreman and the Wolves, the Gray Wolves. Paul?
I think Shoemaker and Temple are going to be neck and neck for that district, I think.
Craig?
Shoemaker.
All right. Now back to you, Paul. Highland Park at Rockwall.
I'm going to take the Fighting Armstrong Sims.
The Scots.
Yeah.
Craig?
Scotties for life.
I'm going to take Rockwall.
I'm going to take Rockwall. They just beat South Lake Carroll.
Screw you, Armstrong.
45. I think it was like 40 in a shootout game. All right, Craig, North Shore and Manville. Manville, of course, we got some dudes now coming up in the big boys.
Yeah, I'm going to go North Shore.
I'll take North Shore. It was a big mistake by me. It's one of those stupid decisions. 2 or 3 weeks ago when they played against Shadow Creek, I went all in on drones, and North Shore is just a dude.
Yeah, I'll take North Shore.
By the way, before we go to the next game, do you know why I'm taking Belton despite their being winless over Killeen? It's a Thursday night at Leo Buckley.
No.
That is my reasoning
for it's a whole hell
taking
breaks
Belton.
loose. My Thursday night record over the years, despite success in this thing, has been atrocious. Westfield at Spring in a battle of two schools in the same ISD, and I will take Westfield. Paul.
Westfield.
All right.
Westfield.
All right. Two teams that knocked out Midway in the playoffs in the games we've done the last 10 years. Timberview, Paul, at home against Cleburne.
Timberview.
Lampasas at Burnett. Craig?
Lampasas.
Me too.
Lampasas.
Now, this is one that was made up because, again, Cedar Hill was looking for a game. They lost their game with Allen. Allen also lost their game this week with Legacy. And so Cedar Hill was looking for a game, and they happened. Oh, my goodness, how about Aledo, which is a great, great matchup. And I think it's my turn, and I'm going to take Aledo. Paul.
I'll take Aledo.
Craig.
I'll take Caden Salter and Cedar Hill.
All right, that's not a bad pick at all. I think Coach McGuire want to have a little interest in that one. Just
turn the horns loose, baby.
Yeah, that Aledo is probably, I would think, Mart and Aledo. Who else? Carthage, the last 10 years. All right, here's a 4A game. Mejia at Van. Paul, this is you.
I'll take Mejia.
Craig.
I'll take Van.
I'm going to take Van. China Spring at Salado. Craig.
Salado, the home team. I'll go with them.
I'm going to take them at home, which China Spring fans, by the way, I know that you should be thrilled with that because I have missed 3 of their games this year. Paul.
I'll take Salado.
Steve May will not want to be a part of the show next week.
It's fine. Look, Amelia's at China Spring. I should have stuck with both of our, people, but I'm not. I think Salado is going to grind it, and that's going to frustrate China Spring a little bit.
Unless Abdallah, Bowden, and they get off to a pretty good start. Salado behind, even though they fell behind early.
I'll tell you what, if China Spring wins this game, then
goodness.
Watch out.
You think, with all due respect, they'll have Conley at home to end the year. I think that might lead to they run the table in the regular season. Conley needs China Spring to win to have any chance at a district title since they have them at the end of the year. McGregor, we had 2 games that won, South Lake Carroll and Geyer. That game was canceled. I had a game that was supposed to be this week that was last week, so that's out. Teagan Groesbeck won that game last week. All right, McGregor, and this is the nuts district. This is the district from hell, right? McGregor at Lorena, and this is me, and I'm going to take Lorena. Paul?
I will take Lorena. Although, their backs are against the wall here a little bit.
You got a coin in your pocket?
Yeah, their backs are against the wall here a little bit, yeah.
I don't know.
Going Lorena.
I'll tell you what, McGregor really, Mike Shields, that was a tremendous win last week when they came. It was just a great game with Troy. Speaking of which, all right, Troy at home against Yo. This is Paul.
I'm going to take Yo.
Craig?
I'm actually going to take Yo as well.
I'm changing my pick to Yo. No, I'm not. I had it written in stone. I'm not. I'm going to take Troy.
How's the mailman doing this week?
He's pretty cocky.
That's it. Well, it's a tough one for him.
I know.
Hey, let's text him. I'm going to ask him.
Picking between 2 kids.
Here's another really good one. This was in 3A. This is Lexington at Rogers. And this is Craig.
I will go Lexington.
So will I.
Yeah, Lexington.
All right. Clifton at Buffalo. I'll take Buffalo. Paul?
Buffalo.
Craig?
Buffalo.
All right. This is Paul. Crawford at Rio Vista.
Crawford.
Okay. I'll take Crawford. Craig, Normandy at Grapeland.
I saw where Grapeland's got they're very excited about this game, really but I'm going to go Normandy.
I'm going to take Normandy as well, Paul.
Yeah, Normandy.
Grapeland is Terry Ward, who was at Tenaha, and then he moved to Harleton. He's a hell of a coach, and Grapeland It's been a while for them to be in where they are with their record. I think it's 5-1 right now. And then finally the game, Hearn at Thrall, and I'm going to take Hearn.
Feel the Hearn, baby.
Feel the Hearn. I'll take Hearn.
Okay.
A lot of Catalinas in that neck of the woods. I don't want to get back.
Feel the Hearn.
Okay, feel the Hearn. Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to get back that I picked against Hearn.
All right, so we got some differences here. Craig tonight can go jump out and head and if Craig wins tonight, then he ends up making up 2 or 3 games.
Yeah.
If he doesn't, then it's going to be difficult because obviously that's one more to fall behind on.
What's Belton clean tonight? Is that the only Thursday night
that's the only
game?
one that I can think of. There's a few others that are around the state.
I know from last year we did. I think it was the last game of the season we did at Belton, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
no, it wouldn't have been the last game of
the regular season.
What do you mean?
We were there, and I was talking to the coaches when they were testing out the booth and doing all that stuff, and I was there, and they kind of thought, especially even though like this year does not affect their varsity numbers with the new high school and all that they just felt like the next couple of years would be kind of a morphing around and growth more than consistently doing what they kind of done. They'd started to slip, and they were a bit of a roller coaster the last couple of years.
Well, I tell you what, I've never seen a team that just played. They were the epitome of a high school team that played like a Big 12 team. They could score and keep up with pretty much everybody, but they just had the defense could not stop anybody. And I had Garrison Vaughn one year. They had the kid that's at the University of Houston now,
Peyton
along with
Mansell.
him. Yeah, it just is crazy. All right, thanks to by the way, Bob Locke, who handles advertising for Allen Samuels, Dodge Chrysler, Jeep Ram, Fiat, also for Pickup Outfitters.
First
National Bank of Central Texas just sent me a text. He heard the interview with Alexis DeJoria, and he's a big fan of that funny car, the drag.
I didn't know that about Bob.
Yeah, he told me he's going to be on his way up there. And speaking of which, the Waco Karam Shrine Motor Escorts presents the 17th annual A Night in Old Vegas Casino Party. It takes place Saturday night, doors at 6:30. There will be casino fun, Vegas-style entertainment, auction, and delicious food. Auction begins at 10 o'clock. Proceeds do benefit Karam Shriners and the fundraiser held at 400 Karam Circle in Waco. So a night of Old Vegas Casino Party sponsored by Channel 25, the Zimmerman Law Firm, among others, and Allen Samuels, Dodge Chrysler, Jeep Ram, Fiat. That's Saturday night. Doors open at 6:30, the 7th annual A Night in Old Vegas Casino Party coming up this weekend. For more information, you can contact Karam Shrine.
All right, by the way, some Le'Veon Bell news is he plans to sign with the Dolphins, Chiefs, or Bills.
Yeah, like there was rumors going around of like somebody put out like, oh, he's in Kansas City visiting, and then somebody was like, he's in Miami visiting, and so there was some confusion, but it does appear that it's narrowed down to those teams. I mean, if he joins the Chiefs, it's just ridiculous. I mean, they're going to become the most hated team in the NFL. And I think with the way that Patriots game wound out, a couple weeks ago, I think they started to kind of turn that corner, that people started to focus on them like, oh, they're the golden children now. And, when you're winning, people love to hate you. And I think the Chiefs, if they go sign Le'Veon Bell with some of the other moves they've made over the last couple of years, they're going to start positioning themselves as that team.
But they just lost. I mean, the Vegas beat them up pretty good.
I would like to see
people love
that dude in Miami trying to. I mean, of course, if you're a Miami athlete, this is probably the best time if you're a franchise to know that, well, the guys can't mess around too much because, that like it's
you can't go to things, they can still come to you.
Yeah, well, that's the thing about the city like Miami is you just kind of have to stick your head out the door and be like, I would like this bad thing. Yeah. And then the guy will be like, I got you.
Like all of a sudden the smoke comes cypress.
Bad thing, I got
through
you.
your door, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, that's okay. High school pick'em. We'll see what happens over the weekend. It all tips, Craig. If you win tonight, you're going to probably gain 2 or 3 games.
Why would I gain 2 or 3 games just on one game?
Well, it's just the way it is. Because if you don't win, then you're 7 back to even start with only 17 games left. It's just, to me, that Highland Park Rockwall game is intriguing. Rockwall coming off the win against South Lake Carroll, though. That's a good program. They've been good now for about. Really almost for the last 10 or 15 years.
Yeah, I don't have like a ton of faith in that game. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me at all if Highland Park wins, but I just feel like Rockwall might be one of those teams this year that's, kind of a team poised to make a deep run. We know Highland Park will make a deep run regardless of what happens, tomorrow night. But, I like the way Rockwall's playing. They knocked out South Lake Carroll and seem to be chugging along nicely.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And that was a nice win against my buddy Chuck Kelly. I asked him, South Lake Carroll and Rockwall. He said, you know, go with the Dragons, and it didn't work out for me. So I don't want to.
Does he ever pick against the Dragons, though? I mean,
that's
honestly,
a really good point. I don't know if he does.
He loves South Lake Carroll.
He's only told me a couple times when I've seen him at Cowboys games, and I'll ask him, all right, well, is this the week that they lose? And he'll be like, no. But I think one time, I can't remember who they were playing. He's like, yeah, this team can't beat that team. He was right. You know?
Yeah.
Like, it was just whoever it was.
He led me wrong on South Lake Carroll earlier this year. I'm not sure who it was against, but he led me wrong on him, so I'll never forgive him for that.
Well, there's certainly some interesting games. I mean, that China Springs Salado will be fascinating. What was the other one? Yo and Troy, McGregor Lorena. I mean,
Lexington Rogers.
Yeah, Lexington Rogers. There's going to be a lot of really, really interesting games starting tonight. If you want to go check out a game out of Leo Buckley, which I do kind of miss the very roomy press box. They had nice food and everything laid out for us out at Leo Buckley as well. I don't miss the drive to Killeen so much, though. I don't really miss that. But shout out to the good folks over at Leo Buckley.
Yeah. They always took good care of us.
Yeah, they did.
We had, for the longest time, there's Charlie that was always let us in. And
Charlie was great.
And then he retired. And I was worried at first because I was like, man, we had Charlie for like 9 years. Was always the guy. You just call Charlie. And I could call him. I could forget to call him until the day of. And he's like, oh, you didn't call me this week. I knew you were coming. I'm here.
The thing about Killeen ISD, and I'm very, I feel an attachment, not because I ever went there, whatever. I did some games back early on in my career in the 90s at Leo Buckley when I did what used to be Robert E. Lee High School, now Legacy, against Ellison, against others. But I never seen, when 10 years ago, whatever, when I moved into Central Texas, I wanted to grab onto that district, and it never seemed to work. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like something it never seemed to work, and we did everything we can. It seemed like Toby Foreman responds to me. He's not been at Shoemaker too long. He's been there a short amount of time. But there are some guys Jerry Edwards is good, but there's some that just won't respond, and it's frustrating because I really wanted to grab onto them, and we still are. We're going to still cover them. They're in Central Texas, but it was really frustrating. I never seemed to get through to getting information from that area.
I think that's just such a different community because of Fort Hood, because of just the number of schools and everything else. And, they're also kind of in that weird gray area of, are they an Austin or greater Austin type of place, or are they a greater Waco, Temple, Killeen type of place?
Yeah.
And we consider them Waco, Temple, Killeen, but I know there's a lot of people in Killeen that think that they're like a suburb of Austin, basically. So, yeah, it's just strange. It's kind of a no man's land almost in a way, but always loved our trips to Leo Buckley. So, we'll have to get back to that at some point.
I miss it because it's such a great facility. It really was. And it was the way the setup was fantastic as well. Okay, we'll come back, update the Astros and the Rays in Game 5 of that best of 7. We'll also look at a couple of the other scores. The NFL and college football had some more COVID hits today. What's going on with that? And also the name, image, and likeness, closer to being reality, and what's going on with that in college athletics. This is Sikkim 365 Radio.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac, the kickoff savings event going on right now, and they've got a lot of great deals. They've been throughout the pandemic and whatever stage we're in at this point. I mean, who the heck knows, quite frankly, but all throughout, ever since going back to last spring, they've continued to offer great deals, and more importantly, they've continued to offer exceptional customer service, offering to bring the test drive to your home, making sure everything's sanitized as well within the facility, making sure that their salesmen are washing their hands and staying away from each other and doing all that good stuff, all to make you feel comfortable, but also they want to make you feel comfortable when it comes to your pocketbook, and that's why you got to take advantage of the kickoff savings event going on right now at Richard Carr. Right now you can get it all. A smooth, quiet ride in a first-class interior matched with power and durability with the best truck on the road, a.k.a. the GMC Sierra. Right now, if you're a qualified buyer, you can save $9,000 off a 2020 GMC Sierra at Richard Carr. They also have the 3-row Buick Enclaves, an amazing value in a luxury SUV. During the kickoff savings event, All 2020 3-row Buick Enclaves are $10,000 off. Or you can get the versatile and nimble Buick Encore for less than $20,000 at only $19,900. And maybe you're ready to step up and experience the luxury and style of a Cadillac. Well, they've got a lot of different options for you. They've got the XT4, XT5, full-size 7-passenger Cadillac XT6. You can save $2,000 right now on all those models. Plus the 2020 Cadillac XT4s starting at $34,690 at Richard Carr Cadillac. They've got the best sedan values on the market as well, with the exhilarating 2020 Cadillac CT4 sedan starting at $32,995. It's the kickoff savings event at Richard Carr. Score huge savings right now on all vehicles in stock. For more information, go to richardcarr.com. Come see the deals in person at Highway 6 and the Imperial Exit. Or again, give them a call. They can bring the test drive to you.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new Lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
It's the heat of the summer, but the real heat is what you're cooking on the grill, smoker, or in the oven. So Waco Custom Marketplace can be your go-to playmaker for summertime grilling. You can't go eat anywhere else? Be your own chef with custom-ordered and cut ribeyes, sirloins, fillets, New York strips with a focus on high-quality beef at a competitive price. Waco Custom Marketplace also has fresh deli cuts with sliced turkey, ham, pepperoni, or corned beef. Waco Custom Marketplace also your home for the freshest seafood in town. Salmon, shrimp, mahi-mahi, great priced chicken products, whole birds, tenders, chicken breast, and wings. Waco Custom Marketplace with smoked items unique to Waco, house-made bacon, summer sausage, boudin, hot links, and German sausage. Every seasoning for every occasion, grilling, baking, or frying. Your hometown grocery store with canned goods, pasta, fresh baked bread, buns, chips, sauce, condiments to pickles, charcoal and lighter fluid, cold beer and wine, best kolaches in Waco, mouth-watering cinnamon rolls, and here for the community every single day, helping you avoid the long lines in crowded stores, serving quality products to the Waco community. Go online for the weekly value boxes. Family owned and operated Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lakeshore Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Texas board-certified personal injury trial lawyer and Baylor alum David Willis and Baylor alum Parker Willis are ready to help if you or a loved one has been wrongfully injured in an auto accident, SUV rollover, industrial accident, 18-wheeler crash, or were seriously injured by a defective product or recalled drug. Call them for a confidential and free case consultation at 1-800-GOT-HURT or visit them at texastriallawyer.com, principal office in Houston, Texas.
If you or a loved one or friend has been arrested and you can't afford bail, trust Terry and Chase Chapman at Chapman's Bail Bonds, covering Waco and McLennan County for over 25 years. Chapman's can bail you out anywhere with experienced, knowledgeable local agents who are committed to serving you professionally, respectfully, and with the highest integrity. Chapman's understands your privacy is important. Your freedom can be secured fast when you use Chapman's Bail Bonds. Open 24 hours a day. Payment arrangements available. Call Chapman's Bail Bonds. When you need help, 254-754-1603. When you ring, we'll spring.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio.
Log on to the Willis Law Firm chat room on Sikkim365.com.
Couple of notes just to kind of update you on some of the stories from today. Conor McGregor is going to fight again in January. I know TJ has been communicating, I think, with you, Craig, during the direct message. He said he's going to fight January 23rd against, was it Dustin Poirier?
Yeah, I apologize, TJ. I haven't looked at my DMs for really the entire week, or pretty close to the entire week, but I'll have to check that out. I've waxed poetically on my love or my fandom of Conor McGregor over the years, but it's starting to go away a little bit. I don't like the way he's been acting and some of the things he's been accused of outside of the octagon. I love him as a character, as a fighter, but this whole song and dance about, now he wants to do a boxing match with Manny Pacquiao, and Poirier is, basically a fight to keep him in MMA, but also to, in some ways, tune up for Pacquiao. The Floyd Mayweather thing was fun for what it was, but I'm not going to buy another pay-per-view to see him fight a washed-up Manny Pacquiao, even if I think he had a chance to win that fight. And, again, the stuff outside of the octagon, just some of the accusations that have been levied against him. I know when you're rich and you're powerful that you can have some people try to take advantage of that, but when it happens over and over and over again, after a while, I start to have thinking, hey, maybe it's something to do with you. I'm not saying he's guilty of whatever he's been accused of, but I've lost some of my love for good old Conor McGregor, and I just want him to kind of clean up his act a little bit and get back to fighting and less of what people fell in love with him for, which was his talking. But at this point, that's all he's doing is talking.
Yeah. Is this guy kind of what's the boxing term? Tomato can?
Who?
The guy he's fighting.
No.
Okay.
He's very, very capable of beating up Conor. Yeah. This should actually be a good MMA fight. I don't mean to take away from the fight itself. This should be a great fight, and I think a lot of people have wanted to see this now, and there's a lot of history there between Poirier and McGregor, so this will have great build-up and everything, but it's not quite the same. It's not quite the same as it was for old Conor McGregor, 2-3 years ago.
Brantley knocked in a couple of runs to bottom of the third. Astros now back ahead. That didn't have that game tied very long. It's in the bottom of the third, 3-1. Astros have just out there. Now they move to the top of the fourth. Paredes is pitching for who's the guy, Javier, that came in for Houston last night, and I haven't watched a ton of it. He came in, he's like, they signed him as a 17-year-old in the Dominican Republic. He's 23 years old, and he came in, and he's got stuff. They feel like he's going to be a future starter, but he came in, and they hadn't seen him, and he made Tampa, although it got a little dicey, they had to bring in
Christian
Presley.
Javier,
Yeah, he looked good. Presley came in to save it. But I like this. Javier looks like he's got a bunch of stuff, so to speak. Now, I got a question for you. Carl Padilla, we have Jerry Forrest, pigskinprep.com, good friend of ours. He put this up. Carl Padilla put this up. Sam Bradshaw at 5:30. During the 2020 playoffs, I can see a directive going out that starting with the third round of the playoffs, all teams, whether they win or lose, will be permitted to practice the following week to ensure that we have two teams playing for a state title. I'm totally against this.
Yeah, I'm
100% against that idea. I know where it's coming from. Because you could have a team lose 2-3 weeks in a row and win the state title, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like it. I think, forfeiting games is going to have to come into play, unfortunately. And I don't like that idea. Amelia, all due respect, I did see, a small vocal minority of Oklahoma State fans that wanted to forfeit of the Baylor game this weekend, and it's like, why? They rescheduled it already. They're going to play. It's just they're not going to play this weekend. I know there was some crowing from, vocal minority of LSU fans about Florida should have to forfeit that game. Well, why? They're going to reschedule and play it. Now, I know there's no rescheduling here available for these teams, but, you don't have a lot of wiggle room, and I don't like the idea of if it's at the playoffs, you win or you go home. There's, win or go home, and that's what I'm all for, not with whatever this is trying to be.
In 1988, one of the great teams of all time, and a documentary great, Dallas Carter, Jesse Armstead, and all those guys, they went on a run and eventually won the state championship. They eventually had the state title taken away from them. Converse Judson, they beat them in the state championship game, and then Carter had the title taken away, and there was other things to do with, I think, even academics, whatever else, class grades, whatever. But I remember that they beat Marshall, and I thought it was in the quarters, and I got to go back and look, but I remember they also may have beaten somebody else, maybe Lufkin or someone in the early part of the playoffs. I could be wrong on that, but that team kept practicing because Carter then, because of what would be declared or ruled as ineligible player or players, would then be removed from the playoffs. And at times they were. And then by the end of the week, parents, the school, whoever would file an injunction. They'd get it pushed back. They'd get to play. And it happened, I want to think, for at least 2 to 3 or 4 weeks. And I remember, I believe Marshall was told that you may want to still practice. But this is different.
I think that, look, if you can't play, you can't play. I think it's just like you can't, you just can't.
It's a domino effect, too, and you can't assume that there's going to be a bunch of teams that are dealing so well with it they can just be on standby at a moment's notice to go pick up a game again, nor do they deserve to.
And the other thing, not every game is going to be a close game. And what if the team that you're going to go run out and play again got beat 72-10?
Right.
Like it was just overmatched. Because this happens plenty in the playoffs where, a team could be 11-0 and they get to that 12th game and they haven't played anybody like the team they're running up against, and they just get rolled. Well, you're gonna play that team again a second week in a row. Then you're punishing the team that already beat you, right?
Yeah.
So to play a team 2 weeks in a row, like that's not right because that's what you do. And so if the team that lost in their side, you potentially having a team play another one 2 weeks in a row, then there's no reward for the team that won the game.
No, you can't do it. Carl Padilla is a guy that I have a great respect for, and I know what he's trying to get at.
I don't know if he's necessarily advocating for that or he's just saying that he could see it.
He said he could see it. He goes, I can see it. And I wish I could find their schedule. I know that they eventually played Permian, I think it was, in the semifinals. They made it in the film Friday Night Lights. They made it look like that the game was in the championship game, which it wasn't. That was against Converse.
Yeah, I hate that about sports movies. Like, just don't ever go look at the true story of a sports movie you love. Remember the Titans, I'm looking at you. Just don't do that because typically it has been Disney-fied and there are some details that, like, maybe your favorite parts aren't actually your favorite parts. And, yeah, that was weird when Friday Night Lights hit and they made that out to be the state title game, even though anybody with a knowledge of history knew that it was not the case.
Yeah. All right.
Well, that's probably one of those things like Hollywood's like, all right, so they played another game after this?
Yeah. Remember, the Titans is still a great story. It's just not as great as the movie portrays it to be, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
When we come back, Sam Bradshaw, he is might be on medication. Because he doesn't know
He's
who to plan.
He's a normal functioning human being who just likes to look at X's and O's of football.
And he doesn't know because Baylor's next opponent now is not Oklahoma State. He had to start focusing in on Texas. And, of course, we've had shutdowns with La Tech and then Houston and who knows. So he sent me a text earlier today, like, what are we going to do? And I was like, okay, Texas is the next opponent, we hope. And then let's look at the possibility of Oklahoma. And then let's look at a couple of the teams that are out front. Iowa State, Kansas State is 2. And then maybe even delve into what's happening with Alabama and what has happened to Mike Leach and Mississippi State on offense. They're about to play Texas A&M at home. This is Sikkim 365 Radio.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Bird Culchin Ford has been in Waco since 1936. Ford, the #1 selling truck in Texas, 43 years running. And Bird Culchin Ford proudly supports high school football in Central Texas. And no better way to tailgate with a Ford than from Bird Culchin Ford. And are there better vehicles to tailgate with than the Ford F-150 or the Ford Expedition? And of course, you can get them new, pre-owned Bird Culchin Ford. Our sponsor of the Ford Tough Player of the Week, locally owned dealership. Online at bkford.com at 1701 West Loop 340 in Waco. Bird Culchin Ford.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
Pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, specializing in diagnosis and treatment of any and all sport-related injuries, celebrating over a decade of service to Central Texas. They tackle all surgical and non-surgical problems that arise from an active lifestyle. Trust the doctors that Baylor trust, and when injuries sideline you, don't wait for Monday. Join us at 8:30 on Saturday mornings for a post-game injury evaluation clinic. Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. We get you back in the game.
Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Sam Bradshaw of Sikkim365.com.
All right, here we go. Paul Craig, David Smoke, a lot of things to get to. Sam Bradshaw, who is constantly, it seems like each week, having the buffet table turned upside down as he tries to prepare for what Baylor is about to do and coming off what they were doing. And, of course, that hasn't happened now for a couple of weeks. Sam, thanks for your time. We appreciate it. So Baylor's next opponent should be, we think, Texas. And we know what they've been through. They just lost to Oklahoma. They lost that game at home to TCU. They had that crazy game with Texas Tech. Who are they? Are they just all score with no defense? What's going on with them?
Thanks for having me on. And honestly, when you look at the per drive data, the opposite's actually true. The games that have had really high scoring for them, the yards per drive have actually been pretty modest. And you've had some turnovers, some non-offensive scores, and just a lot of drives really inflate that scoring number for them. I mean, they and Texas Tech were held into the mid-20s yards per drive, which, based on the score of that game, is not what you would expect. And, I mean, they were able to pull that out for them, but they weren't quite able to do it against Oklahoma, and they fumbled on the goal line against TCU. This is a solid team, but in 2020, everybody's just playing conference games almost. There's going to be some good teams that are going to look like they have a much worse record as a result of it. I mean, Texas certainly has some holes. I don't think their offensive line is as strong as they'd like it to be. And they're not generating a lot of long plays on offense. Ellinger's one of the better quarterbacks in the Big 12, and he's a very capable runner. And he's got some talent around him, but it's not nearly what you would think based on the recruiting rankings and based on a couple other things that would, when you see Texas, what would jump into your mind.
Sam, Ellinger has, early in games, I mean, late in the games, he's been fantastic and brought him back and all that. But part of the reason that they're in early holes is because he's been inefficient passing the ball early in games. Is that because of him, or is that because he does not have the receivers that he once had?
Well, I think it's partly the receivers, and I think it's partly the protection. I mean, Ellinger has been very productive for them over his career, and he's one of the better ones in the Big 12. I mean, even the most pessimistic observer of the Big 12 can find 5 Big 12 teams, including Texas, that Ellinger would start for. So he's certainly capable to move the offense. And one of the reasons I say it that way is when they get into 2-minute drill and they have to have it and they have to throw, that's actually been part of where their offense has been the most productive it's been. Late in the game against Oklahoma, late in the game against Texas Tech, they turned it on a completely extra gear after really being middling at best the rest of those games. They're not all that strong across the offensive line. I think that's really limiting their running game, forcing them to use Ellinger as a runner a little more in order to get that run game going. And from there, they're having trouble protecting him. And if you can't hit the home run and you can't consistently run, it's not going to go that well for you.
Sam, would you consider Oklahoma one of those Big 12 teams whose record is a little bit misleading, or is their record exactly who they are from what you've seen?
It depends on how much Rattler can protect the ball down the second half of the season. I mean, if they can protect the ball better, they easily beat Kansas State. And, they had trouble limiting the big play against both Kansas State and Iowa State. And if you give those kind of plays up, it's going to be really tough. Those are the 2 areas where I think Oklahoma has to get a lot better. Rattler's got to protect the ball, and you got to have a lot more defensive ability to limit the long play. Because what happened against Kansas State and Iowa State, especially in the air, was just not good. And the Sooners have talented guys that should be able to do a better job of limiting those plays. I don't know if it's limited practice with COVID or if that's just the way they're playing, but they were better at it last year, and so far it hadn't materialized.
How much does Kansas State, how much are they affected by Skylar Thompson out and Howard, their quarterback?
Well, Howard can run a little bit, which helps produce some of what Skylar Thompson was able to do. But anytime you lose your starting quarterback, it's generally not a good thing. I do think Howard might be a more accurate passer, which could help in certain things. But as far as having been through the battles, understanding some of the tricks defenses like to do to you, it'll be interesting to see how the young kid does because he's very new as a starter. So teams really haven't gotten a feel for what he likes and what they can take away. And they haven't made him fight left-handed yet, to borrow a boxing term, where you're taking away their preferred options and making them beat you with their backup plan. I don't think they've had a real good chance to game plan them that way. It's going to be interesting to see down the stretch. But the big key for Kansas State is turnovers and field position. That's the one constant in their games. They protect the ball like crazy. They take it away like crazy. And even though they give up a lot of yards, their starting field position advantage ends up being a huge equalizer for them. Even in their loss to Arkansas State, that was the case.
With Kansas State losing Skylar Thompson, how do you think that changes everything with Will Howard, who's apparently a good runner, although...
That's what he just
sorry. I'm looking at this picture. I'm embarrassed now. Go ahead.
That's okay.
Yeah.
They seem to me... Go ahead, Craig.
How about, what is Columbi? I think that's how you pronounce it, at Texas Tech. How does that change things? I mean, obviously, Alan Bowman just very reckless with the football. Matt Wells kind of swimming and drowning a little bit right now. Is this something that can kind of... turn the Red Raiders around, I guess, Sam?
Well, any talk of turning them around completely is going to really have to do with that defense getting a little better. But as far as being a better fit for the system, I think Columbia's a little better fit for what they want to do. I mean, he was recruited for that system at Utah State, and Bowman was recruited for Cliff Kingsbury's system. So I think there's going to be a little more comfort level there. But any talk of Texas Tech really turning things around is going to have to start with that defense getting at least a little better. Remember in 2012 how Baylor went on a run at the end of the year when the defense, who had really struggled to begin the year, started playing pretty well. If they can pull a turnaround on defense like that, I think Texas Tech could make some noise because as much criticism as Bowman gets, the offense has been okay at times. It's just you've got to be scoring at a very high clip to overcome the way that defense has been playing.
Yeah, that game with Texas was just insane watching. But there were onside kicks, pick six.
Yeah, but he threw
Texas
them out
Tech.
of that game. I mean, basically, he had a large role in that not going the way that it should have, and that's kind of been his MO. That's why he's benched. I mean, that's why he can't take care of the football.
No, you don't. Now, we had Phil Bennett on, as you know, Sam. We had Phil Bennett on Mondays, and we were discussing the SEC. We even asked him about that last week when we saw some of the offense putting up big numbers, not just Mississippi State against LSU. But now this is a trend, and I've seen national columnists write stories about how, this is awful, but they're also looking at excuses, whether it's the fact that home crowds are not able to perhaps affect an offense, or is it COVID, the lack of practice and tackling, whatever. What are you seeing right now? And Alabama, will start with them. They found a way to win. They don't have Saban this week, although he's coaching from Zoom. What have you seen from Alabama? It's just that they've been infiltrated with this crazy?
Well, first and foremost, I think they had to replace both safeties and their nickel, and Ole Miss went right after them. Twice, their safety either missed a tackle or tried to jump a route that went to the tight end, Yaboa, the guy that was committed to Baylor, that was a high upside guy that Rule recruited to Temple.
Yeah.
And he went off for big plays. And then they faked the post route and then did a double move and got the safety again. And they were able to just take the top off the defense. And anybody making excuses, it's just the crowd being out. Over 60 yards per drive for both teams is never the crowd being out. To put it in perspective, Baylor TCU 2014. Baylor was 42 yards a drive, and TCU was around 30. Granted, they had a ton of drives, but to give you an idea how bad that defense was, that is what Baylor did to Vanderbilt in the Texas Bowl. Over 60 yards a drive. That's the majority of the field. And you expect it from Ole Miss's defense because Bama's got the best of the best on offense. Their line's great, and Ole Miss is rebuilding on defense. The other side, Kiffin knows exactly what Saban doesn't want to see, and he gave him a ton of it.
Yep.
And Ole Miss wasn't a complete roster when they inherited it, but they have some skill guys that played a ton last year. And they had 3 good linemen coming back, and they were able to fill the rest of the spots pretty well. It reminds me a lot of what Hugh Freeze did to Bama for 2 or 3 years in a row. And it reminds me of what Manziel did to Bama a couple of years in a row. It reminds me of what Trevor Knight did to Bama. It reminds me of what Utah did to Bama. And it reminds me of what Colt McCoy was about to do to Bama before he got a nerve shot to his arm. That defense has been always outstanding at stopping the run. But this spread stuff has always been a bit of an Achilles heel for them. And if you've got good people, it can put them in space in ways that they don't handle nearly as well as what they like to see.
That's why Saban hates it so much, because he's supposed to be able to figure everything out, and he hasn't.
Yeah, but if he is one of, if not the greatest college football coach of all time, and there's a debate about who that might be, but if he is, why would it have taken him still to this day where he can't defend it? Or is it something that, a lot of people can't defend it. It's not really Saban.
Well, I think it's something where a lot of people can't defend it all that well. I mean, you look at D'Antonio. Baylor lit him up. You look at Oregon lit him up. And he's one of the better defensive coaches in the Big Ten. You look at Brent Venables, who's taken Clemson to great heights. When he left the Big 12, Oklahoma fans were all crazy about him, really down on him, because apparently Oklahoma State running the air raid and Baylor running the Bryles offense and all these other things that were going on in the Big 12 at the time was apparently something he should have totally stomped out, and it's inexcusable. Oklahoma fans would probably crawl on glass to have Venables back now.
Oh, yeah.
No question. Yeah.
For sure.
So I think there's a certain degree of everybody struggling to stop it. And then also Bama lost 7 starters from last year. And they're facing an offense that had a ton of really high-end skill talent, and the quarterback played really well for Ole Miss.
You know what's interesting? You got Craig. You follow up with that?
I don't have a follow-up on that so much. I have a different question.
Go ahead.
Sam, I was just curious, who's your favorite team to watch right now? I mean, Coastal Carolina is a fun story. I mean, there's all these various teams, their various styles. You can even say, Ole Miss with what they're doing on offense last week. But who's been your favorite team to kind of review so far this season?
Well, I don't know if I have one particular team. I just like seeing unique matchups. So, for instance, LSU dealing with spread teams has been more than an adventure because Pelini has not adjusted very well. But then again, you look at Mississippi State, they lit LSU up. I think they had like 15 receptions, like 1/3 of their pass attempts went for 20-plus yards. But then they go into Kentucky where Mark Stoops had his offense running the air raid as like first couple of years at Kentucky before they went away from it. They knew what to do, and I think they held them to like 17 yards a drive. It's just interesting for me to see the tactics across the different matchups that you see. Because think back to 2013. Baylor was lighting up all these teams that backed off in zone, but once they ran into some teams that could play press man on those receivers, all of a sudden that offense slowed down. So, I mean, just the individual scheme matchups and personnel matchups that you get when you have unique matchups. Because Alabama, historically, and Georgia under Kirby Smart, and Tennessee under Pruitt, facing the same defenses week after week after week, that's not going to vary nearly as much. And therefore is a little less interesting.
You brought up getting up, like, in pressure of the wide receivers. Dave Aranda, that's what he alluded to earlier this week when he was talking about how they were able to defend Trevor Lawrence and Clemson, that he mentioned that, is that, they saw where people were maybe backing off the receivers, whether it was zone or two, whatever they were doing. But, and he did. He said LSU had the guys that could get up and play.
But that's what he said is the next step for the Baylor defense.
Yeah.
That's what he wants to see is less of having to scheme it right, Sam, and more of just guys getting gritty and man-to-man situations, right?
Right, but you also have to go about it in an efficient way because it's not just having the guys and it's not just being able to play man-to-man. You've got to have the right checks to handle different route combinations. You got to handle motion certain ways because if you want to see a perfect example of what not to do, you could look at LSU Ole Miss or LSU versus Mississippi State, but you can also look at the Big 12 version of that, which was 2000 Texas Oklahoma, where Texas has Quentin Jammer. They've got a couple other corners who played in the NFL, and they gave up 60-plus points because they tried to play man against an air raid all game, and they didn't have good adjustments to it at all. So it's more than just the general principle. You got to do it well, and I think Aranda's a guy that can get it done. I think Roberts is a guy that can get it done, and I think Baylor's going to be able to get them the athletes they need to run it well with them doing the evaluations on the recruiting trail and developing the guys they already have here.
The fact you went back to 2000 when Oklahoma won it all, and they destroyed Texas. There's a couple of 3 years in there where they just put up stupid numbers against Texas, and that Texas had those defensive backs.
Quentin Griffin had the big 6-touchdown game. I forget what year that was. Sam, in your early preview, how do the Baylor Bears, from what we have seen thus far, and clearly any hope for them to make any type of adjustments or clean some things up was pretty much made null and void by the outbreak this week or over the last couple of weeks. But knowing what we know and assuming all things will be equal, how do you feel about Baylor's matchup with Texas next week?
Well, who do they have available is the big question because, I think they can clean up a lot of the mental errors they had. I mean, one of the West Virginia drives was extended by a linebacker having 2 mental errors, leaving guys uncovered in a row. And then offensively, I got into some of the mental mistakes where they turned somebody loose right up the A-gap for a sack where Brewer had no chance. I think mistakes like that, they can clean up a little bit even without the practice time just because those are mental. Mm-hmm. And you can do that with film study. But as far as technique, that's going to be tough. And you really don't know who they have.
Right.
Because against West Virginia in the overtime period, they went right after what is probably the 5th string Jack linebacker because Baylor's best Jack linebacker and their 3rd best Jack linebacker didn't play that game. And that's in addition to having all 3 of the guys preseason you thought would be starting at nose, tackle, and field end. And that's in addition to missing your best corner. So with another COVID outbreak, you don't know who's playing.
Yeah.
I mean, if you ask me right now if Terrell Bernard's going to play, I don't know. Is Christian Morgan going to play? I don't know. Basically, anybody on the team that has not already missed a game, it's a coin flip because I haven't gotten any information. I don't think y'all have. And it's just a question. And late in the game, I mean, you had a walk-on playing significant minutes as one of the primary interior linemen.
Mm-hmm.
Between him and the fifth-string jack linebacker and, a couple other guys, West Virginia's offensive line was able to get some movement in the running game. I don't think they'd even sniff if Baylor was at full strength in the trenches, because Baylor's got some dudes on the defensive line, and they're upperclassmen. They've not only seen some time on the field, they've seen some time in the weight room, and I think that's something that until we know what they have, it's going to be really difficult to project this thing, because that Texas defensive line's vulnerable, or offensive line, I mean. And if they've got their guys back, I like Baylor's chances on that side of the ball. But offensively, it's going to be a challenge because Oklahoma, Texas Tech, and TCU had to earn what they got against them. And I think that's going to be another tough matchup for Baylor on that side of the ball.
Thank you, Sam. Appreciate it. Anything else? Sam Bradshaw with us, S11. Thanks for your time and analysis, and great stuff considering there's no game they just came off of, or one game coming up this weekend, but perhaps we hope a little over a week. Sam Bradshaw every Thursday at 5:30 on Sikkim 365 Radio. A couple of notes and then we close it out. That NCAA legislation I mentioned, name, image, and likeness rights are coming. They will have to still vote on this Wednesday afternoon. The NCAA Council, reps for all 32 Division I conferences approved legislation that will grant the NIL rights to their athletes with a few exceptions. It does not mean schools will be paying players. It does mean they can earn money with far fewer restrictions while they have and are active as college athletes.
I guess their argument that this would cause revenue loss to the school is
out the window.
It doesn't make any sense. Like the whole time, like we could lose, but
you know what? You know how a school would approve it? Hey, if Charlie Brewer does an endorsement for Gatorade, but the school gets 50% of it too.
Yeah, that's not the point.
So,
that's not the point for the players. Like they
no. Don't give up any of it. If you get the endorsement money, you get endorsement money.
So does this mean they can do Twitch, for example?
Because I would think so.
Okay, well that's going to get wild then.
Yeah,
that's going to get really wild.
Is that another social media thing?
No, that's where you can stream yourself playing video games. Not everybody plays video games. Some people just go on there and riff on whatever and just take questions from their audience. But basically, you have people with the push of a button that can send you donations, and that's how those streamers make their money. In addition to sponsors, but a lot of those that are starting off, they don't have sponsors right away. So they thrive purely on donations, and you can give them $1. You can subscribe for $5 or whatever it is. You can give them $10,000 if you want to. So,
but see, that's where the extra benefit, like a booster, could come in.
Get in there and just tap.
But here's the other thing, though. I would totally Eric Dickerson the crap out of that.
That's what I'm saying,
like,
man.
I would. Oh, really? Oklahoma, you like me? So does Texas. Well, you all make donations. What are you going to do? I mean, like, you're making a donation on Twitch. There's no contract agreement that I have to, like, do what you want to do.
You're talking about leading up to becoming a college athlete, or talking about when they're on the. We're talking about
campus.
once they
on
get
campus.
there.
But I mean, still,
if
even leading
Terrell
up
Bernard
to
finishes football practice and he lets his followers know, hey, at 6:30, I'm going to be streaming Call of Duty on Twitch, and he hops on, he's on camera, and he's got the whole format set up through their platform, and people could just $5 here, $1,500, however much they want to. That's going to get really Wild West, man.
Now, I think they're going to restrict alcohol and gambling and something else from the rules, but I think that might get – I mean, look, if you're 21 years old.
No.
All
right, thanks to Ishmael Johnson, Dave Campbell's Basketball Magazine, for joining us as Baylor's on the front cover. Jennifer Smoke, Fantasy Football, Max Olson, Alexis DeJoria, American Drag Racer. She'll be at that Texas Motorplex this weekend. Mickey Spagnola, Midway's Jeff Hume, and also Sam Bradshaw, who was brilliant today as always. Tomorrow, we'll have Frank Ditta, former Baylor player on that 1980 Southwest Conference Championship team. Former Cowboys and Raiders offensive lineman Kevin Gogan, among our others, including Grayson Grundhafer, high school coaches, and much more. For Craig Smoke and Paul Catalina, Amelia Myers, thank you very much for being here. It makes the place look so much better. With all due respect, Armstrong makes it look good every single day. For everyone I've mentioned, all of our great sponsors, thank you very much.
3-2 Astros. Rays are threatening.
And Le'Veon Bell to the Chiefs.
All right, and the Astros are up 3-2. They had a home run given up in the top of the fourth, I think, or fifth, and now runners on first and third. This is Sikkim 365 Radio. Good night.
Have you tried a do-it-yourself program to lose weight? You may not know that in a typical do-it-yourself program, a quarter of the weight you lose is due to muscle breakdown and loss. With COVID harming obese and overweight patients, being at ideal body weight is more important now than ever. Over 30 physicians in Central Texas, tired of seeing patients fail at losing weight themselves, opened MuscleWise Nutrition. This is a coach-managed weight loss program that targets fat and spares muscle. The 4 MuscleWise locations have taken off over 19,000 pounds from Texas dieters in the last few years. The combination of coaching and weekly body composition analysis to target the fat loss are the keys to success. The coaches teach you how to eat and live a healthy lifestyle. Email Sikkim365 at musclewisenutrition.com today, and the coaches will contact you about their free educational seminars. Do not wait. Email today and start MuscleWise at Sikkim365 at musclewisenutrition.com.
Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. And this football season, you need to stop by on game day for curbside pickup or stop by their tent next to Sikkim 365 at Brazos Parking for your pregame refreshment. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.